man, check this out.
You're on official Rob Brown
lockdown.
Represents being real. Yeah.
Real, unfiltered sports talk. Manufactured locally for the Carolinas.
Lockdown.
This is the Rob Brown Show.
Yeah.
Really, I don't want us to be.
The Fan Upstate.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
No, for sure.
Do not show weakness.
For
Do not show weakness before the show actually starts.
For sure. It's gonna be a long day, and it's gonna be a long day, and a long day tomorrow. But I do it, and this is true for the people. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in. The Rob Brown Radio Show is right here on the Fan Upstate. Happy Thursday, my dudes, my dudettes. It's ever so wonderful, as it always is, to have you here as a part of the radio broadcast this and every single day. And what a day we have coming up for you today. What a show we got lined up over the next 4 hours. We got NBA draft breakdown, as we know the newest Charlotte Hornet. We now know who the Atlanta Hawks selected at number 1 overall, as well as most of the other teams around the National Basketball Association. So we're going to talk some NBA draft as the show rolls on today. We'll get to some NFL because for whatever reason yesterday was a big day for folks who wanted to talk about the Carolina Panthers. Comments and opinions and thoughts coming from everywhere yesterday. And we are going to address those comments and thoughts and opinions. Speaking of said Carolina Panthers, coming up this morning at 8:40 a.m., we'll be joined by Rashad Beard, host of the Panther Nation podcast. We will talk with him about his thoughts on those thoughts. That's coming up later on in the show. Coming up at 8 a.m., Rick Wright is the head coach of the Greenville Triumph. Coach Wright is going to join us at 8 a.m., where we'll talk about what the Triumph got going on as we are right around the halfway point of the USL League One season. We'll see how Rick's feeling about his first season at the helm of our local professional soccer club. We got that coming up for you at 8. At 9:20, as it is Thursday, and you do know what that means. Fight Club with the great Lonzo, who will walk us through everything going on in the world of boxing, MMA, and professional wrestling. That's all coming up at 9:20 this morning. Then at 10 a.m., Rob Brown leaves the studio. He walks next door to the production room. He knocks out a couple of lives. He knocks out a couple of promos for the next few days. And then he gets on the road for 8 hours to get back to the house in Destin. Well, Pensacola, if you're keeping track. Headed back to the P-Cola for the weekend, where I will immediately get there, pop open the computer, jump on BetMGM tonight to talk some baseball with Ryan, Trista, and Nick. You'll be able to hear that right here on the Fan Upstate. Then he will turn around and sleep until around 3:30 in the morning, when he will get up for a 5 a.m. show, Central Standard Time, to be with you all tomorrow. Then, and it turns out, load in for the band gig tomorrow that starts at 6 p.m. is at noon. So no rest for the weary tomorrow. Head on over, get set up, play some music, open for Jefferson Starship. And then I plan on going home and metaphorically dying after that, I think. But again, I do it for you. I do it, ladies and gentlemen, I do it for the people. I do it for the people. That's real stonesy from a guy sleeping in his own bed tonight after not driving 8 hours.
So what you're saying is all these things you were doing they're not voluntary.
Oh, no, they are. It doesn't make them suck less.
Well, I mean, the fact that they're voluntary means that I don't think he can complain about it because
I can.
you decided to do these things.
I mean, I guess technically I could have taken off tomorrow and left you people all by yourselves, which I am doing Monday for the record. Which I am doing Monday because we got a gig Sunday. Ordinarily, it would be drive home today, play tomorrow, play Saturday, drive back on Sunday. But we got a gig on Sunday, so I'm driving back. So I will be off on Monday. Then we work Tuesday and Wednesday. Then we're off Thursday. Then we work Friday. You know, just normal life stuff for us.
Summer. I mean, you do these things in the summer.
Fair enough. But, life's good. I'm opening for Jefferson Starship tomorrow night.
I know, and you're complaining about it. I mean, that's a big deal. Not everyone can do that. It doesn't matter where they are in their career; it's still them. it's still them. You know.
Not that this is in any way related. I don't know if it is, but hilariously, in fact, I know it's not. I know why it is trending, and I hope this doesn't take one off the list. But hilariously,
I haven't even started yet. So
good.
Yeah.
Starship is trending right now. I'm not saying I'm an influencer nationwide, but I mean, we mention it, bang, trending on Twitter. Doesn't matter that it's about SpaceX's Starship.
I was going to say it's probably about SpaceX, but
it is, but that's not the point. The point is I said it, and it's trending on Twitter. So, you know, we're just out here changing lives. That's all. You
influencer.
I am. I don't know what you want me to say. I am. Hey, we got a show lined up for you today. We mentioned Rashad Beard at 8:40, Rick Wright at 8 o'clock, Fight Club at 9:20, which means that if you'd like to get in on the radio program, the first hour is the best hour for you to do just that. The renewal by Anderson of the Carolinas fan phone is available for you at 844-326-3663, 844-FANFONE. You can text us on the text line at 71307, 71307. Start your text with FAN, F-A-N, FAN, F-A-N, and we will read them on the air. You can tweet X post me at The Rob Brown Show. You can tweet X post Zoe at Lonzo on Word, at Lonzo on Word. And you can tweet X post all of us by hitting at The Fan Upstate on Twitter or whatever else it is going to be. That's all the different ways to get in touch with the radio broadcast today. It is going to be a busy one, so we hope that you will. NBA draft getting going yesterday evening. The Atlanta Hawks had the first overall selection, the first time in the history of the league that they have had the first overall selection in the NBA draft, and they utilized it on Zachary Risachet is how we've elected. We're saying it on this show. I don't honestly know if that's
I'll
right or
probably
not.
say it like 5 different ways before the end of the show, probably.
Zachary. I don't even know how to get that one right. Then we go with Risachet. And you can go, wait a minute, Rob, you heard Adam Silver say it last night when they selected him number 1 overall. Just say it like that. Yeah, well, again, no. Because just read that name and tell me it's not more fun to say Zachary Risachet. It's just more fun that way. Toss in a little at the end, and you feel like you're a Disney villain, you know?
Quit giving away radio secrets.
The number 1 overall pick is in. He is going to be joining the Atlanta Hawks. I did watch a little bit. I spent some time yesterday watching a little bit of film on a number of the highest selections. A number of the folks that we knew were going to be coming off the board early, a number of the folks that did come off of the board earlier. Risachet is an interesting selection. He is one of, honestly, probably 2 or 3 guys on the board that feel league ready now, though there are some weaknesses to all of them. And this is why yesterday when we had Hayden Ask Mario on, and I think that it really kind of came to fruition a little bit last night. I think it was really put on display last night why both Mario and I said yesterday, this is going to be a very interesting draft. And it's going to be a very interesting draft because there's not that guy. There's not that guy. In fact, not only is there not that guy, this is a very young class. The player the Hornets selected is 18 years old. It's a very young class. And in a very young class, there's not a lot of those guys. There's not a lot of cats that you go, that guy's ready. That guy's the guy. That guy's got it together. That guy's ready to translate to the league. And I think you saw that play out last night, even with pick number 1. You look at Risache, headed to the ATL last night. This is a guy that checks in at 6'9", 195. Now he's shredded, but 195 is not an ideal weight for a guy that's got to play a big power forward. It's just not. He lacks a lot of strength. He's not a guy that can bully ball his way to the rack. And as a 4, just me personally, I'd rather have a power than a stretch at a 4. I'd rather have a guy that I can involve in the 1-2 game with my big man than I would have a guy that's playing a finesse 4. If I'm going to have him play a finesse 4, I'll just have him play a 3. I still need a power 4. Now, that's not to say that Risache can't add a handful of LBs somewhere down the line. Can't take that 195 up to a 220, a 225, and feel a little bit better and a little bit more comfortable about playing there. I would also say he's a guy, based on what I saw, that is not a great shot creator even as a 4. He's got phenomenal open court passing. He's got a good feel. He's got a good court vision. He's got a very solid knowledge of the game. But what he doesn't do is create shots. What he doesn't do is open the door for himself. He can open the door for other guys. But again, as a 4, I need him to be involved in the 1-2 game with the big man, and I need him involved in that way, in a way that he becomes a threat with the basketball. Right now, he's not. It's not to say he's not, but he's a guy that gave you, I think it was like 11 points and 4 boards a game. He's a good player. And I think he's got a lot of upside and potential, but he's a developmental player. And that's why this draft was interesting. Because I don't care if you're talking about Alex Sarr or Reed Shepherd or Stephon Castle or Ron Holland. I don't think there was a player in this draft who is not a multi-year project player. Now, that's not to say there won't be one who breaks out, like Brandon Miller did for Charlotte last year.
I watched some of it last night. I didn't happen. One thing that they pointed out a bunch was that teams only wanted teenagers, which is why some of the older players went late.
Oh, for sure.
And also, I didn't notice, do they have a green room there?
They do.
Was Bronny in it?
Bronny was not in it.
Okay, because
Bronny did not get selected in the first round, so that's for the best.
That was a good move because they would have just showed him over and over again from every single angle.
Oh, for sure. It had just been the Bronny James didn't get drafted TV show for the evening. That's solid analysis because that is what happened. Here's the thing. If you are going to bring in a 2 or 3 year project player, bringing in a 24-year-old's not a great idea, right? If he needs 2 or 3 years to find his game, to have his game developed, and when that game gets developed, he is 26, 27 years old. Now you've got him for, if you're lucky, 5 or 6 years as a top shape. But if you get a guy that's 18 years old, if you get a Risache, who's 18, 19 years old, and let's say he turns into a 4-year project. Okay, he's 23 when he hits his stride.
Which, I mean, this goes back to what I've said a bunch, and I'm sure other people have, is if you stay too long in college, you hurt yourself.
If you stay too long in college and that college does not develop you to be NBA ready, if you stay in college and you come out at 23 years old and you're NBA ready, then you're in a great spot. But this is I'm not saying this like, well, I mean, I guess there's really no other way to say it. I was going to say, I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but it is what it is. This is the least NBA ready draft class in recent memory.
I mean, Mario was saying that too. So, but the thing is, isn't it sending a message to college players? Hey, don't stay. Leave as soon as you can, because GMs are, and they mentioned this a bunch last night, that the GMs wanted teenagers. So what they're saying is, hey, don't stay till you're 20. Make sure you come out before you're 20.
I think that would be the answer if you were looking. All right, there's a couple of things in play here. Within the top 10 picks, you had 3 players from France, 1 from G League Ignite. When you go to pick 11, you got another G League Ignite player. So you are looking at, in the top 11 picks, almost half of them were not college basketball players, or at least not American college basketball players. The top 2 picks both came out of professional leagues in France, or both French who came out of professional leagues internationally. So I can't say the answer to that is yes. And I say that, great one, because there are 60 NBA draft picks, right? Which is what percentage of college basketball players? 0.00001% of them everywhere. There's easily, I don't know that this is the answer, but let's say what's a fair number? 800 college basketball, D1 college basketball players. Let's not even include, because I'll give you the example. I used to call play-by-play on the hardwood for the Northwest Florida State College Raiders, and they had a cat who played there. They had a cat, and I'm blanking on the name, but they had a cat who played there that went on to play for Oregon and then went on to get drafted, right? Now, he only got to Oregon because he played so well at Northwest Florida State College, and they had a coach that was able to kind of elevate their awareness of him. And I'm going to remember the name during the break, and I'll tell you when we come back. But the point here is, that's a guy that needed to develop for 2 or 3 years to be good enough at the college level before he could get NBA ready at Oregon. He came out, I believe, at 21, right? So, yeah, I can see the thought, and it does make sense, but I think it really only makes sense if you are talking about the upper echelon. This is just a crop of players that by and large are young and weren't ready. And this is a list of developmental players. When we come back, we'll take a look at Charlotte's first pick overall, Tejan Salon out of France. Apparently, France is a basketball powerhouse now. We'll address that when we come back on The Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
That didn't make sense.
The Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
The younger players are the ones they're taking. The older players who are more developed are the ones that they're.
No, I see what you're saying. What I'm saying is, even if you were a younger player and came out, you still got to be one of the best 60 players on planet Earth to get there.
Still some rain continues throughout Friday, otherwise sunny with a high nearing 90. Then showers might continue throughout Friday night, cloudy with a low of 73. I'm meteorologist Kara Foster on the Fan Upstate. Currently it's 79 degrees.
It's the first day of the first grade, and she found a new best friend. It's a laid-back Sunday afternoon you wish would never end.
The homemade taste of Bluebell and good friends gathered round. The good old days are being made right now.
Bluebell is known for flavors that push the boundaries of taste. Our oatmeal cream pie ice cream is an oatmeal-flavored ice cream with hints of brown sugar mixed with soft oatmeal cookies and a vanilla icing swirl.
My bad. Thank you, though. Of course, you still may hear them since I'm not talking, but, you know. Someone done stole it.
Just a side plate.
Yeah.
The most aggravating robbery in the history of radio.
Well, I mean, just to get on your nerves. And no, I didn't steal his side plate. I'm not above pranking, but once you start pranking, you can't stop. That's the thing. And then it escalates, and then before you know it, there are hard feelings. So, and Rob will be too easily pranked. So,
It's going to be a pain in the right ear specifically.
you didn't take him home, did you?
Mm-mm.
So it's probably laying
It's in here somewhere, but
or it's in the office.
my fear is
Did you look underneath?
I looked everywhere.
I mean, underneath here.
Yeah.
With
Not
the,
all the way up under
with the
bed.
flashlight. I mean,
No, I'll do
just-
that. The problem is it's the side that has the battery on it,
ah,
and it's
So-
just a little black disc, so it'll be hard to see anyway.
It's a round thing.
Yeah, it's a round black plastic disc.
Yeah, I don't see it on this side.
Yeah.
Sometimes things roll over. Here.
My fear is when I set my headphones down after the show yesterday, it fell out and it fell into the trash can.
Ask engineering to make you a disc. Is he here yet? Yeah, call Chris and tell him you lost
Chris, I need
lost
your 3D
disc.
printer. Went to a drive game last night. Almost got my foul ball. Almost. Like 3 seats over from me.
You would have got it if you brought a glove.
No, we were up in the suites, so there was a iron rail between me and where it landed.
So you didn't dive over and nearly hurt yourself trying to get it.
Correct. I almost got my foul ball last night. I've been to if I genuinely counted, and I counted every level of baseball I've been to, college, pro, at 39 and a half years old, I have never caught a foul ball or a dinger, right? And I've had a bunch that came very close, including last night. Lady friend took me to a drive game last night because I said ball.
No, that other word. I'm going to play it every time you say it so you'll stop saying it.
Oh, dinger? I don't think anybody's ever called that a dinger. I got bad news for you. It's what I've been calling it since high school, so it's not going to stop now. Later on, we're going to talk about an Aaron Judge dinger. Later on, we're going to talk about a Shohei Ohtani dinger.
We're going to get flagged for Beavis and Butthead. Russia is going to DEF CON right
Russia is arming the nukes as we speak. So we went to a drive game last night, and per the lady friend's place of employment, not mine, we got access to a luxury suite, right? So we're sitting up kind of over behind home plate to the right, about halfway down the first base line. And fourth inning, I'm not sure. She was inside talking to her coworkers and her boss, and I was out in the seats because I'm at a baseball game. Why would I be socializing, right? So we're sitting out in the luxury suite, and after one of the players for the Hickory Crawdads, which is a great name for a baseball team, hits a dinger. Yeah.
No. Here's why I was looking it up in the Urban Dictionary to see what it meant. It's interesting what it means.
Well, I mean, obviously, I'm gonna a stolen hot car mainly used to sell drugs or as a getaway car.
I don't see anything about a home run in there.
Well, I don't think Urban Dictionary necessarily takes into consideration.
Also, slang.
Oh, I'm sorry. 3 down. Dinger. Baseball terminology for home run.
I don't know why you're
Because you
so-
said I don't see anything about it.
It's,
Well, then
it's
scroll
also
down.
slang for smokeless tobacco, like skull.
Which is literally under baseball
Which
terminology for
is
home
funny
run.
because when people say that word, that's what I think. A Northern California term for a bowl of crank. Oh, okay. That's even better. And that was 3 down for me, so I don't know what you're looking at.
Literally 1
Oh,
to 3rd down is
Oh.
baseball.
ooh,
Text us. I'm not the only person who calls it a dinger, right? Like text us 71307. Start your text with fan. I'm not the only person who calls a home run a dinger.
So there's another thing which would apply.
Go ahead. I'm waiting.
The place where number 2 exits.
In fairness, I've never heard that called that.
Because I just made it up.
Oh, okay.
I'm good like that.
No, I mean, I've never heard it used to describe a butthole before.
It is red and inflamed in modern context. Dinger is used to describe any physical down there. So it's, yeah.
A Jacksonville, as we call it here on the show.
Okay. Yeah. So every time you say that, it doesn't mean what you think.
Yes, it does.
It does
Literally 4 above that. Baseball terminology for home run. With the example of Jeremy Burnitz and Jeff Jenkins each launched 3 dingers in the same game.
So now that we know the real definition, this actually it definitely applies.
Yeah, no, it definitely does not. So after one of the Hickory Crawdads hit a dinger, a couple of Greenville Drive ABs later, as I'm up in the suite, dude cranks a foul ball. Now at the luxury suites at Fluor Field, for those of you who have not sat in one yet, the net comes up to about eye level with the box, and then the roof over the suites extends out. So there's a window. A foul ball that's going to get into the luxury suites has to be hit at a certain velocity and at a certain angle to get over the net, but under the roof. It's got to have the right arc on it. So when we got there and we were walking to the suite, and I told the lady friend, I'm like, listen, FYI, foul ball comes anywhere near us, I need you to know I'm gonna lean out in front of your bosses to snag it. I'm gonna lay out. Because I just want to catch one in flight, right? I need to snag one out of the air and do that cool guy thing where you snag it and then you crank the brewski down or whatever after you catch the baseball.
Are you sure you still have those capabilities?
Easy.
I mean, are you
Easy.
positive? I mean, because trust me, I know when you
We got a baseball in this studio. I'll let you throw it at me in the hallway.
No, I'm not. My aim is horrible.
I still got it.
Yeah, I will break something. I speak from experience, but statutes of limitations, I should be good. The people in charge during that time are no longer here. And by the way, I am not a boomer. I'm Gen X. Thank you very much.
Okay, boomer. I think you are a boomer, actually.
No, I'm not. I've looked it up. I am not.
Okay. Well, the goal remains I am not just going to catch a foul ball, snag it out of the air. I don't care about a bouncing ball. I don't care about when it hits the ground. If one hits me in the hand and I drop it, I will live in an eternal state of shame from now until the heat death of the universe.
So when your life essence is ebbing from you,
yeah,
and you're looking back on what a long life and how you had kids late in life.
My greatest regret is that I never caught a foul ball.
Yes. Is that what it's going to be?
It might be. It might be. I'll tell you right now, there's a lot of things that I have skipped out on that I look back on, and I'm like, that's a regret I'm taking to the grave. I never went to Old Yankee Stadium before they demolished it. I had an opportunity to go down to Miami for the New Orleans Saints Super Bowl. I did not take that opportunity. And those are not just my 2 biggest sports regrets, but 2 sports regrets that will never, I can't rectify them. There'll never be another time the Saints win their first Lombardi, and they're never rebuilding old Yankee Stadium. It's dead and gone. I can't get those back. And I want you to know, great one.
You can revisit both in a video game.
That's not the same.
It's not, but
It's not the same.
Something.
It's nothing. It's literally nothing.
VR it.
It's literally nothing.
Okay, fine.
It's nothing. You remember your first Super Bowl victory, right? You remember how you felt during that first Super Bowl
I also
victory.
remember the second and the third.
Shut up. Nobody asked you. The point here is you can't. Did the third feel like the first? No, it just doesn't. It's the first. Nothing feels like the first time that you do anything. You want Beavis and Butthead? There's the moment to play.
I'm not trying to. I don't take requests. I'm not trying to do the thing where I do the opposite of you. But every Super Bowl victory is another chance that this is a dynasty, and so getting to witness a
Wonderful.
dynasty.
3 doesn't feel like 1. The third time you did the boom boom doesn't have the same feeling as the first time you did the boom boom.
Rob, I don't mean to be offensive here, but you don't know.
Yes, I do. I've won my first one. All right.
Yeah, but you don't know about the third one.
No, but I've done
a
a lot of other things for the first time, and the first time you do a thing is different than every other time you've done the thing. The first time I got to walk the sideline on an NFL game is not the same as the third, fourth, fifth time I did. The first time that I got to go throw out a first pitch at a baseball game, not the same as the third time that I did it. Still special, still cool, still unique, still an experience, still something I'll never say no to. But the first time is different than the third or the fourth or the fifth time. This is why first NBA games for rooks look like crap more often than they don't.
All right. Every morning when I walk into this award-winning program is amazing.
I don't disagree, but do you remember your first show?
No.
Okay, it was a long time ago. I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
I've been in radio nearly 30 years. No, I don't remember it.
I do remember it. And it's not the same. I'm not saying it's better or worse. It's just different. So anyway, yada, yada, yada. The opportunity to have a first is something that I very much like, something that I very much appreciate.
If someone handed you the ball after they caught it, would you take it?
No, don't want it. I didn't catch it. All right. This is about being a dude. This is about being a guy who did it. And you can't have somebody hand you a ball. You hand the ball away. You don't get handed the ball. So we're sitting in the box. We're sitting in the suite. And I'm over on the last seat in the row. There's a metal bar that separates me from the luxury suite to our left. And to our left in the luxury suite, I don't know who it belonged to, but there were like 4 or 5, and I say this with zero disrespect because I was one of them, like 4 or 5 like mid-20s frat bros, you know?
Wait, you put yourself in with mid-20 frat bros?
I wasn't hanging out with them.
No,
I don't know them.
You act like that you were one of them. That's what you just did.
No, quite the opposite.
Okay,
I was not one of them.
Okay.
I was there with the lady friend. She was in with the work proximity associates. I can't go there and start shotgunning. If I'm there with the frat boys, yeah, I'm shotgunning brewskis in the box.
Jason Kelsey would have done it.
Right, but not with his fiance's boss who can fire her.
No, actually, Jason Kelsey would have done it.
All right, well, he's loaded rich. I'm not, okay? I ain't got Jason Kelsey money yet. So, foul ball comes off the bat, and as I watch it come off the bat, soon as it goes back right and up, I'm like, that's coming in. That's coming in hot. And it's like in the direction. And I told her walking up to the suite, I'm like, today's the day. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling a vibe. Today's the day. She said, what? I said, today's the day I'm catching my foul ball. And she doesn't get it. She doesn't get it. It's like a life goal. And you got to snag one gloveless out of the air. Broken hand be damn. I'm catching it gloveless out of the air. I said, today's the day. I'm feeling the vibe. There's an aura to this stadium today. Today's the day. And so this thing comes off the bat. It's like now it's in slow motion. I can see the laces spinning on the ball. It's coming at me. I'm like, oh, yeah. Oh yeah. I don't know if how many of you guys had this. Like when I played basketball, there were spots that the game slowed down for me. I could see the game. I could see what guys were doing. I'm watching this ball come at me. I'm watching it. It's in slow motion. I got the hand. I shift the beer as the ball's in flight, shift the beer from the left hand to the right hand as this ball's coming over the top of the net. All right. Shift the hand, pull the left hand up because I'm like, this is it. It's my moment. Time to shine. Got to have the beer ready because we're going at it. Flies over the net. And it's like 4 seats to my left, right into the middle of the frat dudes, right into the middle of them. And that's fine because this is their moment. All right. It's not my time. It's their time. The baseball gods have chosen them to have their moment. And the ball flies over the net on exactly the arc I knew it needed to, right in the same row I was in, just about 8 feet to my left. And one of the frat guys, I watch him, not just great one, drops his entire Michelob Ultra in panic. But then, as the ball's flying close to him, pulls this move. Like does the spinning cover up.
So the fetal. He went in the fetal. Okay.
Yeah, he like didn't drop to the ground, but he did the turn in the cover up, like offered his back to the, like he would rather take the baseball flying 88 miles an hour at him to the back of the shoulder blade instead of just make the catch, my guy.
Not everyone's psycho and wants to catch a bullet that's coming at them.
So you just take it off the spine? That seems worse.
I would Samoa Joe it, but that's just me.
So anyway, I watched this
guy. That means
guy.
I just move out of the way.
Nowhere to go. He's in a row of seats. There's nowhere to go.
Oh, I will move people
Can't dodge.
out of the way so I can move out of the way.
This guy had my moment in the palm of his hands. And not only did he take a ball off the back, but he dropped an entire brewski on the ground to not catch the ball. I had to go inside. I had to go in the box for a minute. I had to go cool off. Texter said, Rob, I'm sure the game slowed down for you during timeouts. Good one, Texter. Good one. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
Yeah, Tracy, my paycheck will look just like my first one. All right, with a few more pennies. Also, a great reference, Trey. You would get this. I couch popped for that. You saw me.
Couch popped.
Would you like me to come look? I mean, I can. Another pair of eyes. By the way, Brandon, I do know what it's supposed to be. But the only one in my atmosphere who actually uses that word is him. So stop it, Wesley. He lost a part of his headphones. He's obsessed with trying to find it because his headphones have noise canceling in it. And as we know, I make a lot of noise apparently, but the battery will come out eventually the way he, yeah. Did you find it?
I was going to turn on the lights, but they're taped. The light switch is taped down.
I don't know who would have done that.
No idea. What a dictator move.
As I said earlier, you know, we don't do pranks because they escalate. We never do such a thing. I'm sure there's a reason why that's taped down. And I'm sure it's a medical reason. So a sudden staycation, not entirely a bad thing, Trey. I mean, summer you can find stuff to do. You head down to Florida and watch Rob open for Jefferson Starship. You could be out in the crowd hanging out with Mario. Who wouldn't want to do that? I may drive all the way down there just so we can headbang.
To Jefferson Starship.
Yes.
The Rob Brown Show continues. It is the Fan Upstate. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. NBA draft going down last night. The Charlotte Hornets entered with pick number 7 in the pick number 6 in the NBA draft, and ended up selecting 6'9" tall power forward Tajon Salon with their selection last night. Went and watched a little tape yesterday evening after the baseball game, and after that selection was made. I'm intrigued by this pick. I'm intrigued by this pick because I think this pick was too high. Honestly, I think this would have been a trade back spot. I think that there were a number of other players who were probably less project players than Tajon Salon. That being said, I do think Tajon Salon might have some of the highest upside of many of the players that were taken in the same area. This is a dude who is built to play the position. This is a dude who has shot-making intensity, defensive intensity. This is a guy that stood out as a professional in France, a country whose professional basketball league is becoming one of the most noted outside of the United States. Now, there is one major problem with Tajon Salon. He cannot make shots on the move. He is not a guy that can drive the basket, hit a lateral step back. He's not a guy that can drive the basket and lean into a jump shot moving forward. He is a guy that has got to be a stationary set shooter right now. It's not to say he can't learn it, but he's also not 12. He's an 18-year-old kid. So he's kind of in that range of could still very well develop aspects of his game that are lacking. Maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe he's too set. Is he coachable? I don't know that yet, right? Was not able to find anything about his personality. I will say the second thing is there were spots in games. I watched probably 30 minutes of tape last night before I went to bed on Tajon Salon. There were spots that Tajon Salon, it seemed like the game was faster than him. It seemed like the game was moving around him in certain spots. And I'm talking about primarily on the offensive side of the floor. Can make shots, needs to be set, but not a great ball handler. And that created, from what I saw in certain lines, there were spots where I watched Tajon Salon with the basketball, his team trying to make him a primary ball handler, and he just didn't have it. And it's not to say he can't move with the basketball, he can, but I need you, especially with Brandon Miller on your squad. I need you to be able to move with the basketball within the offensive set. And I didn't see that stand out about Tajon Salon. He felt like a guy that you could give him the ball in an ISO set. And just because of the physical prowess of a 6'9", 217 guy, he could create some shots off the dribble. But once he created the shot off the dribble, it needed to be a set shot, A, and B, It wasn't like he was creating shots off the dribble in a way that he opened up the offense for somebody else should a secondary defender come to him. The ball handling is average for a top 10 NBA draft pick, for a lottery pick. The ball handling is average, and that's unfortunately what's got to be worked on. But again, not only is he an 18-year-old, but he's an 18-year-old who has played 1 year of pro ball, right? It's not like he's 4 or 5 years deep in European professional basketball. He's 1 year deep as an 18-year-old kid. So I think it is more than fair to say that the best days for Tajon Salon's game are ahead of him. But I would also go one step further and say you better hope that the new coaching staff is under Charles Lee is a coaching staff that knows how to develop as well as to do the X's and the O's. Because this is going to be a lot of development. Again, I think he probably needs more development than some of the other guys around him, like Ron Holland II, who got drafted right ahead of him. Like Donovan Clingan definitely needs more development than Donovan Clingan, who, by the way, was rumored to be whomst the Hornets were looking at. In fact, the thought was that they were going to trade back out of this spot because there were a number of teams that wanted Donovan Clingan, and Donovan Clingan was highly sought out by the Portland Trailblazers, who were picking 7. So if you wanted Donovan Clingan out of UConn, you would have had to have gotten to 6 at the worst to get ahead of Portland. I still don't know that wasn't the right move. I don't know that the right move wasn't to bring in a haul, drop back from 6, let somebody jump up and get Clingan ahead of Portland, and then move elsewhere. But I also think Tajon Salon would not have lasted too much longer. Because once you got down to like number 10, where Cody Williams out of Colorado was selected, once you got down to that spot, not only are you talking about a bunch of guys that need development, but you got a bunch of guys who need development, and I don't think the roof is as high as Tajon Salon. So while I do think the move would have been trade back, if Salon was the guy, and from what I understand, he was for a hot minute the guy the Hornets were looking for. If Tajon Salon was your guy, this is who we are leaving day one with, regardless of how the scenario plays out. If he was your guy, you couldn't have traded back too far. You would have had to probably stay in the 8, 9, 10 range, and even then would have been a risk. So if Salon was the guy you were committed to, then the Hornets played their cards the right way. They got the guy they wanted at the spot they were at. They could not have gone too much deeper into the draft without losing him. And that's not to say there weren't other options. Zach Edey was still out there. Rob Dillingham from Kentucky was still out there. Donovan Clingan was still out there. Who was the other center? Kel'el Ware was still out there. There were other power forwards and big men that were still there. However, the next power forward didn't come off the board. Deron Holmes didn't come off the board out of Dayton until the 22nd overall pick. That should tell you what the league thought about this player, about Tajon Salon. The next power forward didn't come off the board until 22. So I do not hate the pick for the Hornets at all. Now, the question mark is, when does this team think it is ready to be competitive? A, and when does it think it is competitive in terms of the players that are on it right now? That's going to be the other question mark. How long do you have these guys locked up for? What's the team makeup look? Is Tajon Salon a 2-year developmental player? Is he a 1-year? Do you feel like you can have him ready, not this year, but the year after that? And if that is the case, where do you go? You got Miles Bridges to run your power forward spot right now. You've got Grant Williams off the bench. And Grant Williams, who came down from Boston, was surprisingly a pretty good addition to this team towards the end of last year. You remember, Charlotte had themselves some positive mo ending the year last year. And Grant Williams was a big part of that. But can you pair Tajon Salon in 2 years with Brandon Miller and build a team? Can you keep LaMelo Ball in the fold? Can you keep LaMelo Ball healthy for that long? Can you keep him healthy enough to justify keeping him on board as the point? Or do you have to go find that next? Second off, do you tank next year? We already know some teams are tanking. We already know the Brooklyn Nets are tanking. They've already telegraphed that. When they sent Mikal Bridges to New York and stocked up, and then when they made that trade with Houston to give them back their first, but then stocked up a bunch more to get them, the Brooklyn Nets have, I'm not joking, 19 draft picks over the next, I think, 7 drafts. It's ridiculous. Sorry, 19 first-round draft picks over like the next 6 or 7 drafts. They have already committed to the tank. They already know what they're doing. We're gonna build a superstar rookie team through the draft, and we feel like that's important. So that's the direction they're going. My question is that the play for the Buzz next year? I honestly, there might be too much talent on the starting 5 to do that. I think you still need to find a big man. I don't think that's gone anywhere. I think Mark Williams, good player, not great player. I think you got to find a big man. Miles Bridges can be a good power forward. Grant Williams, a good backup. Brandon Miller was an absolute threat last year at the shooting forward spot. I think you're going to have to replace your shooting guard in Cody Martin, or at least upgrade him or develop him. And it may be a developmental issue, but at least develop him. And then LaMelo is good enough when he is healthy. And so if all of that is the case, what's the handle? What's the handle for Charlotte? Is it one more year of a bad year? Is it one more year of a down year while you develop Tajon Salon and get a guy in the first, maybe in the lottery next year that can fill in that shooting guard role or that big man role, and then run it back with LaMelo, Brandon Miller, Tajon Salon, one more player out of the lottery, and then find yourself a good vet in there somewhere at either the shooting guard or the center, whichever one you don't address in the draft.
You keep saying one more year of dude, when was the last time they were good?
I mean, it's been a hot minute, but
I mean, it's decades.
Yeah, I guess. Decade and a half.
So they've been waiting for that one more year. That one more year that turns into a lifetime for some people.
But I think you got to look, and I agree with you. But I think you've got to look and say the reset button is pushed here with Charles Lee, the new head coach. And just because you've been bad for a long time doesn't mean you've earned some right to immediately be good the next year, or more importantly, that you've put together the ability to be good the next year.
But reset button implies a new start, not more of the same. And every year it's more of the same for Charlotte.
Again, you're not wrong on this. You're not wrong. It does feel like more of the same. But what I would argue here is you've got yourself a lottery pick. You've got yourself a dude as a lottery pick in Tajon Salon. It's going to take some time. This is not a guy who shows up next year and is Kevin Durant. He's just not that guy yet. So if I know that I need some time to develop Tajon Salon into the player that we need him to be, and you need that time. He is not going to be ready in year one. Is there a point, if you are Charlotte, outside of we're athletes and we like to be competitive, is there a point, if you are Charlotte, to going out next year and winning 35 games instead of 21? Is there a point in going and winning 35 games instead of 21, and instead of having a lottery pick, picking at 17, 18, when you know what your positions of need for next year are? And, oh, by the way, I think you have to start planning for the point guard spot in case either LaMelo Ball decides he wants out down the line, or probably more likely, LaMelo Ball's ankles explode again. And it turns out he ain't him because he can't stay healthy long enough, right? In which case, now I got 3. Would you look at that? The Greenville Drive making the ESPN top 10. I was at that game last night. I actually saw that catch. That's kind of dope. Love to see that. How about Floor Field making the number 2 play with the Greenville Drive, even though they were down 7-0 at that point, got their asses kicked. What are you going to do? It's baseball, baby. That's how it works. All right. We'll talk some more NBA draft later on. Jersey Joe says, how about my Mets taking 2 from the Yankees in a short 2-game set? Yeah, Subway Series. A lot of rain last night. Kind of ruined it, but Aaron Judge is very good at baseball. 30 dingers through 82 games. None of the definitions for dinger justified a Beavis and a Butthead. I don't know why I said Beavis and a Butthead.
One of them talks about a part of the butt.
Yeah, but that's not what that particular sound effect means.
I think it's up to interpretation.
How much Beavis and Butthead you watched? It's a genuine question.
Enough to know who they are. Enough to find a clip. Enough to know where I want to put it.
That deserves a Beavis and Butthead. Back out. That's the best thing you've said this week. The next best thing that Lonzo will say this week is this Sports Flash.
The Atlanta Hawks used their number 1 overall pick in last night's NBA draft on French power forward Zachary Richarge. Richarge was the first of 4 French players taken in the first round and the second consecutive number 1 overall pick from the country. The selection is Atlanta's first ever number 1 overall pick. As was talked about a few seconds ago, the Charlotte Hornets' first selection was French player Tidjane Salon. A 6'9" stretch forward, Salon was known as a below-average shooter and ball handler, but is just 18 years old with a solid build and high intensity, especially defensively, which is, I guess, what they need. Tune in this afternoon from 3 to 7 p.m. for our brand new local show, Wire to Wire. Cole Bryson and Diesel get you up to date on the latest local and national sports news. Great guests, great debate, a whole lot of fun. And you know what? I don't know if you knew this. It's all Wire to Wire. Sent you 2 things on X.
Word.
One you probably already saw. The other one, maybe not. Both scary. One a little bit scarier than the other.
First one is terrifying. Good catch from the ball boy. Great catch from the ball boy.
Watch again and look at the reaction of the dude standing behind us.
That's Shohei Ohtani.
No, I'm not talking about Shohei.
The other dude who
dude
bails
that just saw it happen. The
Yeah.
guy is standing back there. His mouth's like, oh, did that just? Looks to me like Ohtani may have did what you said that frat boy did. I could be
He
wrong.
bailed out hard.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh, threw the hands up and everything. Which, for the record, a ball coming at 80 miles an hour at your face is terrifying. You ever heard of the rattlesnake effect?
I hope he squealed. I haven't listened to it to hear if there's sound of him squealing, but that's
Hey, Big Daddy, how you doing?
Real good, Corey LaJoy. Thank you for asking. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It's the Rob Brown Show. It is the Fan Upstate. Great to have you. Rob and Lonzo, happy Thursday, my dudes and dudettes. Everybody's working for the weekend, including, of course, Lonzo and I. You want to be a part of the show? Do it. 844-326-3663. That is the number to the Renewal by Anderson of the Carolinas fan phone. 844-326-3663. You can text us. The text line is open for you this AM at 71307, 71307. So Alex Sarr comes up, drafted last night, Zoe, and the hat matched the suit. In fact, most of these guys ended up matching their suits to the hats, but like not great draft hats last night, man. I'm a big draft hat guy. Not great draft hats.
How do we know? Because they have the hat staying out there. How do we know that there were several different colored hats and the people looked at the suit that was wearing?
Every hat was khaki. Every hat was khaki.
Every hat khaki?
Every hat was khaki.
Okay. Yeah.
They were all khaki with a team color stripe across the front.
I thought they were kind of boring, and that's just proof.
They were. It's not a great hat. For those of you that don't know this about Rob Brown, big hat guy. All right, big hat guy.
Watch one of the videos from home.
Yeah. I probably got legitimately, let me put it this way. I packed last night because I'm leaving right after the show today. I packed last night. I had to break out the big suitcase because for the 3 days I'll be gone, I'm bringing like 7 hats because you never know. Yeah, I never know which one I'm going to need, right?
Okay, why does that necessitate a bigger hats don't take up that much space?
Because the hat's got to go on the top because I can't have them like smushed in the bag.
But you can put them on top of each other.
They are, but I have it set up so the suitcase stands up and all the clothes, the shoes are at the bottom, then all the clothes, and then the hats are out on top. And by the way, if anybody lays my suitcase flat, they're going to catch these hands because you're going to smush my hats up. And I can't have that.
Wow.
Big hat guy.
Wow.
Right? Which is why I was a little disappointed in the draft caps last night. Little boring, little snoozy from the NBA. All right. Not a great look. We'll talk NBA draft throughout the course of the show today. Some other things I want to get into because yesterday there were a lot of opinions bantied about the Carolina Panthers. And I would like to get to those over the course of the show today. Rashad Beard coming up at 8:40. We will throw some of those opinions at him, get his thoughts, get his opinions on him. We will also talk at 8 a.m., just a little under 1 hour from now, with Rick Wright, the head coach of the Greenville Triumph. The Triumph just about halfway done with the USL League One regular season. So we'll check in with Rick, see how he's feeling about his first year at the helm. Now about 50% concluded, now that he's settled in, now that he is comfortable. How's that team feeling? How's that team feeling for the new head coach? We'll talk to Rick Wright coming up in an hour. Rashad Beard at 8:40. And, of course, it's Thursday. You know what that means. Fight Club with the great one, Lonzo, coming up at 9:20 this morning, where we will take a look at the world of MMA, professional boxing, and professional wrestling. That's all at 9:20. All of those things coming up. But right now, it's just after 7 a.m. You, my dear friends, find yourself less than 56 minutes away from having to get to the office, get locked in. I'm assuming some of you still have to use like an old punch clock on the wall. Do you ever have to do that, Lonzo? The one you slide your card into it and it.
Dude, how old am I?
I don't know if you're old enough to have used the punch card.
Well, yeah.
Okay.
Definitely. Several different jobs that no longer exist.
Fair
Yes.
enough. I never had to use a punch card. All right. So I was just curious. But you're going to punch in. You're going to respond to those passive-aggressive emails from the boss.
If you didn't do it right, the ink would blur.
Yeah.
And
Then you got in trouble for.
No, then you got paid less because they're like, well, I thought it said this.
Labor laws, man. Labor laws.
Yeah, they don't work when you're like 17 and going, yeah, but and you still it just doesn't work.
When you get to the office and you respond to those passive-aggressive emails after you argue about the ink splotch on your time card, you're going to need to know what's going on in the world of sports. And if you need to know what's going on in the world of sports, well, I have wonderful news for you. And that wonderful news is that we right now are going to do this.
Are you ready for the playbook of the peculiar, the almanac of the absurd, and the encyclopedia of the extraordinary? Well, you better be, because we're diving headfirst into the 3 top stories that will have your coworkers saying,
I'm not going to play with it anymore.
Yes, stop it.
before they take their first bathroom break.
No.
Here we go.
Welcome to the water cooler cheat sheet on the Fan Upstate.
It is the water cooler cheat sheet, the top 3 sports stories that you need to know before you get to the office this AM and start talking sports with your amigos. Let us dive right in with item number 1. The NBA draft took place yesterday evening. The Atlanta Hawks had the number 1 overall pick. First time in the history of that franchise that they have had the number 1 overall selection, and they utilized it on French professional Zachary Risager, the 6'9", 195-pound power forward. Comes over after a professional year in France. A high motor, high competitive player, versatile defensively, phenomenal overall feel for the game, but a player that does not necessarily have the size. He will need to bulk up from that 195 if he's going to play a 4. Otherwise, he's playing a stretch 3 hybrid 4. And I don't know that that's the game that his game is suited for. He is still early in his development as a shot creator. He is going to have to work on the moves necessary to begin to develop the ability to develop his own shots and then use that opportunity to open up the floor for others. Played kind of a narrow role for his French team last season. There are his questions about usage in the game. What can he do outside of be a highly competent defender? And as Trey said a little while ago, talking about the Hornets, some teams just don't have defensive capability. Risacher adds that defensive capability to the Atlanta Hawks. Question is, can he add points on the other end? Because that is something the Hawks have lacked from the 4 spot. Is somebody that can add points on the other side of the floor. So I am intrigued as to how he contributes in the NBA when the straight up solo scoring isn't necessarily there. And yes, as a 4 in Atlanta alongside Ice Trey, I need that. I was not surprised by the pick, because what you can say about Risacher is that I watched a little bit, not as much as I did for the Hornets pick, who we'll talk about here in a second. I watched a little tape on this cat. The man dramatically improved from week 1 to the end of the season. I mean, like notably improved in most aspects of the game last year. What I will say is I am going to need to see him both bulk up a little bit as well as become a threat in the open court, because right now he's not. Right now he's a very average open court player. And so I'm going to need him to pick that up just a little bit. Down with the 6th overall selection in this draft, you found Tajon Salon, being picked up by the Charlotte Hornets, a physically gifted power forward who does have at 6'9" the length, at 220 the frame, as a shot maker and defensive player, the versatility that you are looking out of a lottery selection. But there are some spots that need to be fixed up. He lacks a lot in terms of ball handling ability. He lacks a lot in terms of being, again, another guy in this mold, an open court threat, a guy that you can kick out to and put him on the wing and trust that he is going to make something happen. He's not there yet. However, and this is part of the reason Tajon Salon is not, to me, a wasted lottery pick. He's 18 years old. He's played 1 year of professional basketball in a French league. There's a lot of opportunity here. Tajon Salon might have been, of the lottery selections, Tajon Salon might have been the highest potential guy that certainly was available at 6, maybe one of the highest potential guys in this draft as a whole, right? I look at Stephon Castle, point guard out of UConn, a guy that Mario loves right now. That's a 6'6" point guard who plays the point like a 6'3" point guard. I mean, a phenomenal point guard. But I think Stephon Castle, who is going to get better, isn't going to get a lot better. I mean, he played at UConn. They won back-to-back natties. He's about as good as he is capable, I think, of being. And because of that, I like the pick. I don't love the pick. Ron Holland II out of the G League Ignite. Big, physical, 6'7" shooting guard, wildly aggressive with the basketball, but poor decision maker. A guy that's known for forcing up shots that he probably shouldn't force up. A guy that is known for making the wrong pass more frequently than the right one. And I'm not saying he can't develop, but I'm saying a guy who, after a couple of years of developmental basketball, still has a role, still has a reputation for being a poor decision maker. It's real difficult for me to think that he's just going to suddenly develop into a guy who sees the court the right way. Tajon Salon's problem is not seeing the floor. It's not making smart decisions with the basketball. Tajon Salon's problem is quite the opposite. It's that he does see the floor, and it's that he does understand shot selection and pass lane selection and all these other things. Tajon Salon's issue, if there is one, is that he just hasn't developed the correct motor skills. And I don't mean that in the simplest terms. I mean in terms of a basketball player. But again, he's 18. He has played 1 season of professional basketball. I trust that I can develop that in him more than I think some of these other guys' issues can be developed the way that you would need to. Tajon Salon, a 6'9" power forward out of France, is headed to Charlotte as their 6th overall first-round selection. Let us get to item number 2. I usually don't do one baseball game as an item on the water cooler cheat sheet, so instead, let's do 2. Bravos had a game against the St. Louis Cardinals that was rained out on Tuesday, so they made it up as part of a doubleheader yesterday, a split doubleheader with a game night matchup. The Bravos would have needed both in order to claim the series at a suddenly resurgent St. Louis Cardinals, by the way. A team that was 7 games under 500 like 2 weeks ago finds themselves now, after taking 2 out of 3 against Atlanta, a couple of games above 500 and closing in on Atlanta for that number 1 overall National League wildcard spot. In game number 1, you got another solid effort out of Reynaldo Lopez, who has been very good for Atlanta. Went 5 innings, gave up 4 hits, 2 runs, both earned, 4 bases on balls, and 5 Ks overall. His ERA stays at 1.7. It's about as good as you can ask for out of a pitcher at this point in the game. Jared Kelenic went 3 of 5, including a dinger with 1 on and 1 out in the 6th inning. It's not going to stop. Sorry, bud. You're going to wear the vinyl off of that play track.
It's all right.
Ozzy Albies, 0 for 4. Guy is struggling. Ozuna, 0 for 5. Not what you're used to. You did get a 2-hit day out of Austin Riley. Did not result in any RBIs, but he did score later on off of a Sean Murphy hit. He went 1 for 3. A good first game and a 6-2 win for Atlanta, but they turned it around and they ran it back at night, and the offense disappeared again. 6 hits for Atlanta in game number 2. Bryce Elder tagged with the L, primarily because the Braves only utilized 2 pitchers in this one. You got 6 innings out of Elder. He gave up just 4 hits, 2 runs, both earned, only K'd 4. But again, only 4 hits through 6, about as good as you could ask for. They ended up going to the pin for the final 2 innings and went with Grant Holmes, who gave up 4 hits and 2 runs, both earned as well. But it was Elder who got tagged for the L in this one as the Braves fall 4-1 in game number 2. That sets Atlanta up to stay around where they have been with that 10 games over 500 record. They are 44-34 through 77 matchups. They have so far hovered around 7 to 9 games behind the Philadelphia Phillies in the NL East. Now, good news, bad news. Good news. Braves have been very good at the trade deadline the last couple of years. Good news. There's a lot of good players that are going to be on the market. Good news. Atlanta has one of the 7, I think, easiest Major League Baseball schedules after the All-Star break, whereas Philly has one of the most difficult schedules after the All-Star break. Bad news. While there are going to be a lot of players on the market, there's also primarily buyers on the market. If Atlanta wants to add a name, be it a Luis Robert from the White Sox, a Randy Arozarena from Tampa, if they want to add a bat somewhere, which they need to do at this point, if they want to add a bat somewhere, they're going to have to pay. They are going to have to pay. And that has not been the Braves' MO, even on a 1-year rental in years gone by. It's been finding about value guys like Jacques Peterson, Jorge Soler. I don't know how many of those guys are going to be available, especially considering how many buyers are out there this year. We'll talk more trade deadline as it approaches rapidly. The trade deadline this year is set at, I don't remember what day it is. Whatever. I'll tell you. I'll remember later on. Point is, Braves got to make some moves. We'll see what they are. Let's get to item number 3 on the water cooler cheat sheet. 2 records, well, not records. 1 record set yesterday, and another guy who is doing something none of us thought was going to be done. We will start with Shohei Ohtani. DH for the LA Dodgers. He has bounced back and forth from the cleanup spot to the 1 hole in the leadoff spot and everywhere in between. Why? Because Shohei Ohtani is a guarantee at this point. Yesterday, in a game against the Chicago White Sox, the first sellout crowd of the season at Guaranteed Rate Field, Shohei Ohtani recorded a 2nd consecutive first inning home run. But that's not the record, obviously. A lot of guys have done that. What Shohei Ohtani did is mark his 10th consecutive game with an RBI. That is a franchise record. And this is not like a franchise record for an expansion team that fired up sometime back in the 90s. No. This is a franchise record for the Los Angeles Dodgers, a very good team, a team that has rarely, if ever, been bad, a team that has some of the biggest names in baseball history amongst its alumni roster. Shohei Ohtani, the first Dodger to go 10 consecutive games with a ribby. It is a franchise record for Ohtani, who has now hit 4 RBIs against the White Sox in the 3-game series. Nailed down his 9th straight game with an RBI Tuesday, making him the 5th Dodger to accomplish that. The first Dodger player to check off that box since Matt Kemp did it back in 2012. Here's my favorite part of this story before we move on to item number 3, segment B. Shohei Ohtani was asked after the game was over, hey, Shohei, you're hitting the ball very well. Why? And he said, I'm just swinging at pitches that I'm supposed to swing at within the zone and making sure that I'm not swinging at pitches outside of it. Oh, that's just excellent work. Excellent work from Shohei. Second piece, very quickly, Aaron Judge, 30 home runs in his 82nd game this season. That puts him on the exact same pace that he was on a couple of years ago when he set the AL record for single season home runs with 62. I did not think he was going to get back this year. He's back on pace this year. All right, we got some Carolina Panther thought we got to get to, some Clemson Tigers that we got to get to, some Atlanta Braves we got to get to, more NBA draft we got to get to, Copa America as the United States set to take on Panama this evening right down the road in Atlanta, Georgia. We're talking about all of that and more on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. All right, guys, quick live and we're back. Stay right there for me, please, and thank you. electric boogie woogie woogie. Chumba. Yeah, I'll tell you, man. I don't think I counted the Cardinals out, Marcus, but I also didn't think they were going to just suddenly resurge like this. It's a heck of a put together.
New life next break.
Okay. I definitely think St. Louis is a playoff team. I think you're a wild card team. I don't think you catch the Braves, but who the hell knows? The Rob Brown Show continues. It is the Fan Upstate. Give you I said yesterday that for some reason there was just a ton of Carolina Panthers talk on the internet. I got home last night from the baseball game, sat down in the Bro Cave, fired up the old internet machine, and started putting the show together. Didn't start to continued to put the show together for tonight. I'm never not putting the show together. Okay. So sat down last night, scrolling through various sites across the interwebs yesterday evening. There was a lot of Bryce Young takes out there yesterday. A lot of Carolina Panther takes out there yesterday. Let's start with this one. This comes from Yahoo Sports NFL analyst Nate Tice. Nate Tice was talking about Carolina's draft selections and the roster building and Dave Canales and all that. And his biggest takeaway was this.
I like Canales. I thought he did a really nice job with the Bucks last year, but it's like, is he McVay? We'll see, but I just think the personnel is just, we're still grasping at straws. Even the receivers they took, Mingo's more of a project-y type. Last year, Leggett is very explosive and everything, but he's considered raw too. And he was a late bloomer as well. And it's like, I don't know. You're not really helping him as much as I thought they would. I thought they could have gone for like a big, true, more steady guy, maybe not high end, but I think he needs more steadiness around him more than anything, just to help him out.
That perfectly describes me. A big, true, steady guy.
Who needs more steadiness around him to help him out?
I left that part out.
I don't know, man. For the record, I don't disagree, right? I don't disagree. It would have been very nice to have a genuine playmaker on the outside. Here's the thing. He mentions Mingo and he mentions Leggett. Of course, we're always down to mention Xavier Leggett.
That'll be great, man.
He doesn't mention Deontay. He doesn't mention Deontay. And that's my problem with this tape, because I think that once you get to the point that you have added Deontay Johnson into the mix, I'm not saying that Deontay Johnson is Justin Jefferson. But I can tell you this. When Deontay got sent to Carolina during the offseason, the Carolina Panther message boards had an influx of Steeler fans coming over going, you're going to like this guy. You're going to be a fan of this guy. This guy is steady. This guy is consistent. I'm not saying that the take here from Nate Tice is wrong. I'm saying I think it is a good take that's got to be evened up a little bit with the addition of Deontay Johnson. I genuinely think that there is a chance. I'm not saying this will happen. I'm saying there is a chance that at the end of this year, when we do our 2024 Carolina Panthers postmortem, when we do our 2024 National Football League postmortem, I'm saying that there is a chance that the pickup of Deontay Johnson is looked back on by analysts as one of the best pickups of the offseason. I think it may be looked back on as the move that really is the needle mover for Carolina. Now, that's not to say Deontay Johnson is going to have this team winning 10 games this year. I'm not there yet. But I do think at the end of this year, there is a very good chance that Deontay Johnson is going to be looked at as a top 7 wide receiver in the league. And I think if Bryce Young is going to be the guy this year, if Bryce Young is going to be the cat, if he is going to be the dude that fixes it and everybody looks and goes, oh, maybe what very much appeared to be a one-sided trade in favor of the Chicago Bears, maybe it wasn't that. Maybe we were a little quick to judge. Maybe it was the Matt Rule holdovers. Maybe it was Frank Reich. Maybe it was Dave Tepper. Maybe it was all these things that Rob Brown said, you're kind of silly if you don't consider them as variables in the equation. Maybe not the solution to it, but variables in it. Maybe that was a problem. And if that is going to be the case, Deontay Johnson as the wide receiver 1, as the X, is going to be the reason why. No, I'm not saying that everything else Tice said after that isn't fair and accurate. I'm not saying everything after that is not true. Yes, stability is massively important, but I also don't think it's fair to say that they did not address anything. They went out and they got Damian Lewis. They went out and they got Robert Hunt. They were able to move Brady Christensen into a reserve role who adds depth. I suspect, though I could be wrong, I suspect that Ike Ekwonu is going to come out of the slump this year. I think he's going to come after the slump. He's going to come out of the slump. And if he comes out of the slump at left tackle and you can kind of ease some of the pressure on Taylor Moton at the right tackle, I really do think it all comes down to Austin Corbett at center. Remember, he's a guy that slid into that spot. And if they can ease the pressure up on the tackles, and you end up creating the pressure or moving the pressure over to Corbett at the guards role, well, I trust that a little bit better. Why? Because he is bumped up on both sides, left guard Lewis, right guard Hunt. He is bumped up by a pair of guys in that situation that are helpers, that are guys that can chip, that are guys that can be tactically schemed into helping pick up the pressure and force it away from Austin Corbett. And if that is the case, if that is the spot, I feel a lot better about the offensive line. If I feel better about the offensive line, I feel better about the run game. Is Chuba Hubbard the guy? And I do think the next position that has to be addressed is running back. Did they address it with Jonathan Brooks, the young man out of Texas, a guy who was running at a Heisman Trophy caliber pace before his knee exploded? Is Jonathan Brooks the guy that solves the Miles Sanders conundrum? The answer right now is, I don't know. The answer right now is, if he finished last season on the same pace that he started it with, had he been able to stay healthy and finish last season on the same pace that he started last season with, John Brooks would not have been available for the Carolina Panthers with their second selection. He would not have been there. He would have been taken off the board earlier. The only reason he wasn't was the injury and the concerns about rehab and making it back. Because there are some people who do not think John Brooks will be available for the beginning of the season, if not all of the season next year, coming off that ACL injury. But my point here would be to Nate Tice, that while I do not disagree with his take, I do think it's a little unfair to have that take and not talk about Deontay Johnson, not talk about Damian Lewis, not talk about Robert Hunt, not talk about, the restock in the offensive line. In fact, if anything, I think that take is probably more fair regarding Carolina's defense than their offense, right? I think it is more fair to ask that question about the 3-4 defense than it is to ask it about Carolina's offense. In fact, if anything, Zoe, correct me if I'm wrong here, but I think with the addition of Deontay, keeping Adam Thielen as a Y, adding Xavier Legette, who is young and needs development, but is that explosive receiver, by keeping Tommy Tremble and ditching Hayden Hurst, who was not stable last year. I know there were injuries involved and a scary one at that. But by going back to Tommy Tremble, who is not blowing the doors off of anybody, but he is as consistent of a pass catcher at that position you'll find. And then by adding Lewis and Hunt at the 2 guard spot to ease the pressure on the tackles and the big man, I think they address stability, to be honest with you.
I agree. I'm not worried about the receivers as much as other people seem to be. I'm more worried about the offensive line and Bryce Young's feet being corrected. And if the offensive line is shored up and playing better, he won't get happy feet. If he has time and windows, as you pointed out, he can get the ball to the receivers, and we'll see what they can do. But it's more about offensive line and footwork to me.
I would agree. Offensive line was the number one question mark for me this offseason, and they addressed it. The addition of Lewis, the addition of Hunt, and you've got the other 3 guys you have question marks about. Iquanwu's falling off, Moton being asked to do too much, and Corbett moving to a new position at center. You've now given all of these guys on either their left, their right, or both a stable spot they can lean on. I think they did address everything Nate Tice is worried about. We'll talk to Rashad Beard about it coming up in about an hour. We got to run to a break on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
You're live.
All right, guys, one more live and we're back. Stay right there, please, and thank you. All right, peeps, we're back.
Congratulations, Steven.
Good boy, Steven. That feels good, don't it? The Rob Brown Show continues. It's the Fan Upstate. Rob, Alonzo, and you. Be a part of the program this AM, 864-448-3772. That's the renewal by Anderson of the Carolinas fan phone. Text us, 71307. 71307. Start your text with FAN, F-A-N, and we will read them on the show. Let's get a few more thoughts in here. Dan Wetzel, Pat Forty, and Ross Dellinger do a college football pod on Yahoo Sports. And yesterday, I was listening to one from a few days ago where both Wetzel and Dellinger were talking about everything that is going on with the employment of college athletes, with the potential unionization of college athletes, et cetera, and why the lower schools really are in trouble. Now, we have pointed this out before. The lower schools are in trouble because the bigger schools have money. That's really it, right? I'm going to play you a couple of clips here, back to back, and then we will address them because I really do think there is a way to boil all of this down, to simplify all of this. Let us start with Dan Wetzel. Dan Wetzel was speaking about the concept of colleges making athletes employees. He said, wouldn't it just simplify everything?
I think it's absolutely nuts. You want me to pay a guy who's about to become a first-round draft pick in the NFL? Look, I'm giving him money? What are we doing here? But that's all right. I have other places I would spend my money. But do whatever the hell you want. It's your money. I'm saying that this either exacerbates the problem or solves no problem if there is a problem. The way to do it is make them employees. First off, collectively bargain, because I have no, unless they get Congress to, you're going to get all of Congress to absolutely defy. I mean, I get the Republicans seem to be in favor of this, but it's literally the most, it's the least free market thing ever. So maybe you get a sweep of Republicans and you get this jammed through or something, maybe, and you can avoid, but if you make them employees, it's a weak union, then you can collectively bargain and say, no, you're not getting NIL outside, because they do have stuff like that in pro sports. They do have some things that can prohibit that. And you can have, they don't want to make them employees, but I don't know how that isn't a better solution than these. To me, you put this thing in Ohio State and Georgia, like, cool, let's go, let's roll.
So Wetzel says the easiest thing to do for the colleges, for the big colleges. Let's go back to the first take. He said, oh, you're telling me that this guy's going to be an NFL draft pick and I got to give him money? Yo, what's the deal with that? Well, again, the deal with that is nobody's watching if he's not. Nobody's watching if he's not. We as Americans have established that we watch only the best. Only the best. The UFL operated this year. Even I didn't watch it. And I'll watch anything. But even I didn't watch it. Because if it was up against Major League Baseball, the best, I'm watching that instead. if it was up against the NBA. Only the best. I'm watching that instead. I said going into the UFL season, I very much plan on watching UFL football. I didn't watch a full game. I checked in on it every now and then. I got 5 TVs set up in the bro cave. Every now and then a UFL game might have been on the TV. But if we're being honest, if we're keeping it a buck, the UFL games were on the TV when I didn't have 4 other baseball games to fill up those TVs. And that was pretty much it. When we had that little bit of a crossover between the end of the NBA season and the early portion of the MLB period, UFL got no time. There's like a handful of players from the UFL, as was expected, that have made their way on to NFL rosters. And that's going to be the case every year. It is the NFL G League, so to speak. So I fully anticipated that I was going to check in and I was going to watch it. I watched 0 complete UFL games. To be honest with you, I can tell you the Birmingham Stallions won their 3rd consecutive championship between the USFL and the UFL. And not a damn thing else about that league. Why? Because we watch the best. And that's it. So the reason that the schools that produce the most NFL draft picks are also the schools that are getting the payout money from the Big Ten, the SEC, the ACC, and the, name me next business. I should have had one prepared. Should have had one in the chamber. And the Red Lobster 12 is because that's where the best players play, and that's what we watch, right? Even fans of smaller schools, even fans of D2 schools, of FCS schools, even those fans are watching when Georgia plays Alabama. Even those schools are watching when Michigan plays Ohio State. That's how it works. So the whole concept of, he's going to the next level and I got to pay him. Yeah. You know who else pays that guy? The NFL when he gets there, right? Like it's kind of the same setup. You're telling me he's going to be a draft pick and I got to pay him? Yes. So does the NFL. That's literally what they are getting paid for, is because by doing the thing that they do and it being something that we as a country love so much, football, we pay them for those efforts. We pay them for those services, right? That's why. Now, as far as the employment stuff goes, the stuff that Dan Wetzel got into the second half, I'm interested. He asked, why would these schools be against paying it? And Ross Dellinger had a couple of reasons.
I think it's several things. I think, number one, as we mentioned, right, they believe that the majority of athletes don't want to be employees. Number two, they believe that the majority of NCAA athletic programs cannot, probably more cannot, pay athletes salaries. And if they have to, they will choose not to, and they'll close the programs. Number three, employment would change a lot of what they just did. They just agreed to the settlement and new model. As a facet of the new model, an element of the new model, according to that ACC memo I got a few weeks ago, was if an employment does happen, if athletes are deemed employees, you can reshape the model. So everything would change again if they were employees. Number four, and here's the one you might be most interested in, Dan. It would permit athletes to unionize if they're employees. And I don't believe that college leaders want unionized employees as athletes.
They definitely do not. That should be shocking to exactly and precisely nobody. They most certainly do not. Why do they not want athletes to be able to unionize? Because unionized athletes would have a hell of a lot more power than they have right now. Now, right now, the athletes have power in that the court system has so far, by and large, agree with everything that these players have said, have stated, have asked for. By and large, everything that the players have said is not fair and is not giving them the slice of the pie that they helped bake, the courts have agreed. If they unionize, now you enter a whole new world. And I am not an expert on union law or labor negotiations or anything like that. I'm not. What I can say is I've seen how the NFL PA works. I've seen how the NBA PA works. I've seen how the MLB PA works. And most of the time, they get what they want. Now, they got to make some sacrifices for it. That's why we got a 17-game NFL season instead of a 16, and that's why we're going to have an 18 instead of a 17 probably in the next 5 or 6 years. But unionized employees have a hell of a lot more power, and if the NCAA has already made all the changes they've made, what happens when now there is a labor unit that is pushing for them?
Well, what happens would be the biggest fear for fans and people in charge alike, and that would be a strike.
Absolutely a possibility. Absolutely a possibility. Strikes, lockouts, whatever you want to call them, those are absolutely
if they're employees and it's a union, it's a strike with picket lines and all that kind of thing, shutting down college football. Yeah, but can you imagine that? That's wow.
Can I imagine it? Yeah, I sure can. I've seen it happen at the NFL, the MLB. Yeah, I've seen it happen in the NBA. I can absolutely imagine. You have to imagine it. We've already lived it. If you're my age, you've lived through a couple of strikes. You lived through a strike that effectively shut down baseball at one point.
Yeah, but not college football. Not college football.
Yeah, but this is one of those spots that I tell people, this is going to make a lot of folks uncomfortable. But that thought stems from the era where college football players were an asset to a school. And I'm sorry, I'm not trying to make it sound super dramatic or whatever, but that is from a point in time where college football players were viewed as an asset to a school, not a person. They were an asset to the school. And they got whatever the school decided was fair to compensate them for with tuition and room and board and coaching in return for their services. But what is being argued now, as far as employment goes, I will say this. I am 1,000% in favor of outside NIL. 1,000% in favor that a kid should be able to start a YouTube channel and make money off of it. That a kid should be able to go around and play country music in bars at night and get paid for it. That a kid should, if Bob's Used Cars wants to give him the money to do it, put on a polo shirt, go down to the dealership, shake hands for an hour and get $5,000 out of the deal. They've earned that by having talent and working to develop that talent. No issue with that. I do find the concept of making them employees interesting, and I'm curious because Wetzel said in that first clip, there's ways if you employ them, there's ways to stop them from getting outside NIL, which levels the playing field. It doesn't though. Because Ohio State can say, yeah, we're down to pay that $22 million a year. We're down to pay that. We're down to put 22 in the kitty and pay that. And if you take outside NIL off the table, then what happens? You think Ohio State can probably raise a little bit more money than the, Ohio Bobcats? Yeah, for sure they can. The union, allowing the players to become employees, to me, doesn't do a damn thing to fix the problem. It doesn't change the playing field at all. It just changes, does the booster money go from NIL back to the college, or does it say split between the NIL and the college? And the reality is, unless you're Oklahoma, Ohio State, Texas, Georgia, whomstever, unless you're one of those schools, you're fine. Or excuse me, you're screwed. If you're one of those schools, you're fine because the boosters are still going to come through. So I don't know. I like the conversation. I just think there's a lot of nuance to it we haven't hit yet. Next hour, we're going to open up with Rick Wright, head coach of the Greenville Triumph. Rashad Beard will join us shortly after that. Fight Club at 9:20. It's all coming up after Lonzo enlightens you, illuminates the world of sports unto thee with this Sports Flash.
I am your light amongst the sports storms. Yankee slugger Aaron Judge became the first major leaguer to reach the 30 home run plateau despite a 12-2 rain-delayed loss to the crosstown rivals Mets. Judge was responsible for both Yankee runs. The 30th home run comes 82 games into the season, putting Judge on the same pace he was on in 2022 when he finished with an AL record of 62 homers. Speaking of baseball, Dodgers designated hitter Shohei Ohtani has set another record, making a case for MVP as a designated hitter. Ohtani hit his second consecutive first-inning home run and recorded an RBI in his 10th consecutive game. Tune in this afternoon from 3 to 7 p.m. for our brand new local show, Wire to Wire. Cole Bryson and Diesel get you up to date on the latest local and national sports news. Great guests, great debate, of course, a whole lot of fun, and it's all Wire to Wire. Rob Brown Show. Hey, Coach, we've got a couple minutes, and then Rob will be right with you. Hang on. Yep. Coach Wright standing by.
Beautiful. Love to hear it.
So, talked to Charlie yesterday. He has no idea what to wear to a garden party. So, I mean, so I'm stuck with you as a fashion consultant. And I don't know if I like that or not.
I don't know why you wouldn't.
If I go with option number 2, that's easy. If I go with option number 1, I'm probably more going to try to match Raven and let her help dress me.
Is option 2 the funny one?
Yes.
Option 2.
Again, it's my daughter's first experience at a thing like this. And although I've embarrassed her entire life.
There it is.
This is different. You never know if this is the last time you're going to get to do something like this. And so I'm going to leave it up to her. Which is sad because they didn't give Lisa much choices. Like,
that's your wife. That's different.
I'm doing this. Yeah,
that's different.
You've had to deal with this for 30-something years. You know.
And she's been to multiple ones.
She has.
I think I'm sold on the hot pink with the green ferns. I think that's what I'm going with.
I thought you were, from the very beginning, I thought that's what you were going to do.
I'm going to wait for that website to put it on sale, then I'm going to get one. Plus, I will wear that more places. I'll take that on vacation with me.
That's the thing. Whatever I get, I'm probably never wearing again. So, I mean. Even so, it's a good cause to buy something and only wear it once. Not everyone gets to do this.
That's also true. My man
I saw
Luongo
it.
knocking some
Yeah.
Italian out of the cup.
Even had the waiter come out
Yeah.
with the cheese on it. Yeah.
And away we go. Hour number 3 of the Rob Brown Radio program is underway. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Rob Brown, the great one, Lonzo, on the ones and twos this AM. We've got Rashad Beard coming by in about 40 minutes from right now to talk some Panther football with us. Then at 9:20, we talk all things MMA, boxing, and professional wrestling when we do Fight Club with the great one, Lonzo, at 9:20. But joining us now to kick off the 8 o'clock hour, he is the head coach of our Greenville Triumph. He is Coach Rick Wright joining us here on the show. Coach, happy Monday, or excuse me, what are we on, Thursday? I don't even know. The days all blending together. How we doing, Coach? Do we have Rick lined up? There he is. What's up, Coach? How we doing, big dog?
I'm good, thanks. I'm good. Just sitting here at Mesa, getting ready to start training for the day. Looking forward to it.
I love that. I love that. Taking some time out before we get the boys working a little bit to talk to us, Coach. My man, let's check in. We're about halfway through the season so far. Greenville sitting up on top of the USL League One table right now after 11 matches. Year number 1 for you, going pretty good out the books. How we feeling about it?
Yeah, we feel real good about it. It's one of those things. We have played a couple more games than some of the other teams, but at the end of the day, we've got points in the bank, and they've still got to earn theirs. So yeah, we feel pretty good about it. We're also very cognizant of the fact that we got a long road ahead of us. So every day we get out on the field and we really put in a good day's shift. And yesterday was a great training day, and the guys really are really looking forward to this weekend. So, yeah, all good right now.
I love to hear it. I love to hear it. Rick Wright, head coach of the Greenville Triumph, joining us here on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate, obviously coming up on Saturday, back at the house, a home match against Lexington. This is a Lexington team that is down towards the bottom of the table, Coach. But as you mentioned, a couple more games in hand. They've only played 8 to Greenville's 11 so far. And one of the things I've always enjoyed about League One is anybody can beat anybody. I know that's kind of a sports cliche, Coach, but it maybe as true in the USL League One as it is any other league. After a couple spectacular performances, a good one the other night at the house, how do you make sure the boys are dialed in as we turn the corner to the second half?
Well, actually this game is a Jägermeister game.
That is right. It is a cup match.
Yeah. So, they're in a different division than we are, or a different conference, however they, name that. And so they're actually, doing well in the Jägermeister Cup. So it's going to be a challenge for us. But at the same time, it's one of those things where the guys look forward to it. It's a little bit of a break from the league. But it's going to be a challenge. They're I'm not going to say they're a wounded animal because they are near the bottom of the league table, but they've had a very up and down year so far. And, when a team is wounded like that, they're dangerous. And when you say that anybody can beat anybody, we're a good example of that because, our last loss was against Chattanooga, with that, I think at the time was 11th in the table. And I don't know if this is accurate, but somebody said that, the Triumph have lost to the bottom couple of teams in the history of the league more than any other team in the league. So I don't like that label put on us, but at the end of the day, that's the way soccer is. That's the way football is. You can play great and still lose, but hopefully we've got those out of the way and we're just going to continue winning. That's what our goal is.
Talk to me a little bit about this Jägermeister Cup, and we'll circle back around to USL League One play here in a minute. But as far as the Cup goes, it's as far as I know, the first year that League One has done anything like this. Greenville on top of Group 1 right now, 3 points better than Charlotte Independence. How do you guys look at this cup? We've had conversations with the NBA adding the in-season tournament. You've got, usually most soccer leagues have some sort of in-season cup like this. Do you guys attack it and approach it any differently? Does it have significance to the boys as far as claiming the first one that that this team could claim?
Well, anytime you can compete for another trophy, I think that is good. We do rotate our players a little bit. We don't have a giant squad like some of the other teams, and so we do rotate to a certain degree. I know that we've rotated goalkeepers. I'm not sure we're going to do that this time, but because Gunther's in a really good frame right now. But the players do look forward to it because it is a different competition. And we've gone to penalty kicks twice now. Once against Spokane, and we won that one, and then we lost the one against Richmond. So it just adds a little bit of a different element that the guys can look forward to. It gives us a chance to catch our breath, and because the League One competition is very intense, and that's the main one. So, but yeah, it's a refreshing little change of pace. The guys can look forward to it, and a cup game, it's do or die. You either win or you lose in penalty kicks. So yeah, the guys look forward to it, and it's a good little change of pace for us.
Rick Wright, head coach of the Greenville Triumph here on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. As far as League One goes, you have played more games than anybody with the exception of Tormenta right now, who have also played 11. Richmond's got 10. Couple of teams that have played 8, most playing 9. I think there's one that's only played 7. So you're kind of scattered in various spots around the schedule for various teams. How far out, when you guys are looking at strategy and tactics, and you see you've got a July 13th date coming up with Omaha, and then you're on the road a few days later, back home against Knoxville before you're back on the road against Colorado. You've got travel, you've got all this. How far down the schedule do you look while you're kind of comping it up to what the table standings are as far as the strategy of setting lineups and all that goes? Or is it something that you just lean on the old cliche of one game at a time?
It's definitely one game at a time. I think Mark, my assistant, looks down the road a little further than I do, but I just really and truly just look down, to the next game. A lot of people say, "What have you done for me lately?" That's not my motto. My motto is, "What are you going to do for me next?" And so that's how we plan our training, 1 week at a time. We plan that. At the end of the day, we're in a situation, you can make all the plans you want, but if somebody gets injured or if somebody is sick or whatever, you have to change on the fly. So we don't look too far down the road, and at the end of the day, a lot of coaches say this, and I'm really, really, this is my mantra. This is what we do. And I'm worried about my team before I worry about anybody else. I want to make sure that we're playing our brand of football and our style of play, and feel good about that because we want them to worry about us, and you mentioned the last couple of games we've had. The guys have really taken to that, and we're playing some really good football. The game against Charlotte, the second goal we scored where Evan Lee hit that left footer first time, the build up to that was absolutely incredible. I think we had 11 passes in a row, one side of the field to the other, before finally Ben, hit a nice cross into the box for Evan to finish. So we're worried about ourselves, and our training is very focused on our style of play. So I don't look too far down the road, to be quite honest with you. I mean, my wife was asking me the other day about some of these trips coming up, and I'm like, well, I haven't really even thought about it. So, but yeah, it's one game at a time, and we really focus on everyday training. Training's going to be intense again today, and then we'll taper off a little bit tomorrow, but we'll be ready for Lexington on Saturday.
You mentioned just a second ago, Coach Rick Wright, head coach of the Greenville Triumph here on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. You said one style of football, one style of play, our style of football, our style of play. You're a year in. Do you feel like you guys have found your identity? Do you feel like you have found your style of play? And if I asked you to define it, how would you?
Without a doubt, we've definitely found it. And, you know, our style of play, everybody talks about possession, you know, everybody remembers the Barcelona teams, and that's what we want to do. But we want to make sure that we possess the ball in the other team's, you know, half of the field. And, you know, it's interesting because if I go back and look at the statistics, we've done that. You know, I shake my head sometimes. For example, against Knoxville, in our own half of the field, we had 219 passes. In their half of the field, I don't think I've ever seen this, we had 219 passes. So, which is incredible that we can do it, you know, like that. On the other hand, when we played Charlotte, I believe we had something like 280 passes in their half and 190 passes in our half. So that's the type of possession we want. That gives us an opportunity. If we do lose possession, we can revert back to our principles and stop them from counterattacking. And we've done a pretty good job with that, you know. So, yeah, we found our style. We try to move the ball quickly. We try to keep it on the floor, and we're doing that. We've had. I hope I'm not jinxing myself, but this week we've had some really good training sessions where, you know, we come off the field and the guys are just shaking their heads. You know, we can do this. We can play a very high level of quick passes and minimal touches. You know, 1 and 2 touch. We did a training exercise on yesterday, and Tuesday, sorry. And I told him, I said, guys, you can only take 1 touch. That's it. You've got to think ahead, 1 touch. And it was really pretty to watch. I mean, it was really, really pretty to watch. So, you know, now when we go to the game, of course, players start taking more touches, but hopefully we've got the discipline that we'll keep the ball moving and play simple football. So that's the plan.
Coach, we knew this was going to be an interesting roster build this year because it may have been the healthiest mix of younger players and veteran players, the healthiest mix of players that were here for a good chunk of the John Harkes regime, but players that were coming in for your first year as the manager. How has the chemistry gone in the locker room? Is this team as gelled and put together as you would have hoped it would have been when you got the season started?
Yes. You know, everybody talks about culture, you know, and it's just a word. And so when talking with Brendan Fricky and Evan Lee, our 2 captains, and even Tyler Pollock, who's part of our leadership group, and, you know, we wanted to set a tone and the behavior and the expectations, and we want to make sure that we're consistent. That's what builds culture, you know. And the new guys that have come in, you know, they realize that the leadership group is serious about what we do. And so it's been a really, really good blend and a good mixture of people coming in, you know, and then you throw into the mix, you've got a guy like Leo Castro that, golly, the guy is as consistent as the day is long. And, you know, you got a Sebastian Velasquez who comes in and he's been in some great environments where he sets a really good tone as well, you know. So, yeah, I'm real happy where we are. But make no mistake, I think it's very important that the tone was set by the guys that had been here before, you know. And you know, yeah, John, you know, always used to stress the culture part of it, you know, and being, you know, his assistant for the 5 years that I made sure that we continued that. We wanted to make sure that culture is an important part of it. And this group has really done well. I mean, I'm proud of them. But we are just halfway through, and we got to make sure that we keep it consistent and the expectations are kept high. So, yeah, I think it's important that we do that. And I think right now we're real happy where we are.
Talk to me a little bit about, there's a couple of individuals specifically. One of them you mentioned just a second ago, and that was Evan Lee, that left-footed banger of a goal he had the other night. I mean, it was almost, to me, I had as much enjoyment out of watching the boys react to what a goal that was as I did to seeing him score. Evan, for me, in the years that I've been covering this team, Coach, has been so invaluable in that there's really not a spot on the field he can't hold down. And then when he gets chances like he had in that win over Charlotte, he just seems to know how to come up big. How important has Evan Lee, as both a leader and a player, been to the Triumph this year?
Oh, he's massive. You know, and it's interesting because Evan is very open to change, open to us really, really pushing him. The part that you haven't brought up is in that match against Charlotte, he and I got into a little bit of a verbal.
I was gonna
duel,
ask.
like
I was gonna ask, Coach. I saw it on the sideline.
It was a little bit of a verbal duel, and some people might take offense to it because he did back answer me, but at the end of the day, it's their team, and I'm very open about it. And he and I had crossed swords, so to speak, But at the end of the day, Rob, I know how to push his buttons. I know Evan really well, and he likes to be challenged. He doesn't maybe admit to it, but you see the end result. And if we rewind even further, probably a week and a half, 2 weeks before, I was challenging him. Hey, you're playing the number 6 role, but I want you further up the field so that you can shoot more, because he's a good, his technique is great. And so the previous week and a half, he and I and we worked every single day after training on shooting, and it pays dividends, and so he really is invaluable. His leadership, his passion. And one of the things that I can say is his consistency. It really is incredible. But yeah, he's really good. And when you talk about the technique of him shooting and stuff, I didn't even know I did this. Mark was showing some video on Tuesday, and after Evan scored, I didn't even realize, but I ran down the sideline and just started pumping my fist. And I don't normally do that, so I was so excited for him and happy for him, So after the game, he did give me a ribbon about, us going back and forth. And he was a little bit angry that I did that, and in our private conversation, I'm going to go ahead and voice it because I think it's funny, but he was pretty, upset that I spoke to him in such a harsh way, and at the end of it, he goes, that's why I hate you. And I'm like, really? That's pretty strong words. He goes, yeah, because you're always right. And I'm like, no, I'm not always. I'm not always right, Evan. I'm not always right, but I do have a pretty good idea of what we need to do, and I know how to push your buttons. And he starts laughing about it. He goes, yeah, you're right. So it's a good relationship. I have a very open relationship with the guys. Like I say, this isn't my team; it's their team, and I'm just trying to point them in the right direction and keep them, with all the paddles in the water at the same time. So.
I love it. Always being right's why Lonzo hates me too. So I get it, Coach. I've been in the boat with you before. Lion McKinnon, let me ask you about one more before we let you up out of here, Coach. Right, Lion McKinnon, who has just been absolutely magnificent this year, putting up goals left and right. Talk to me a little bit about the breakout of McKinnon over the past couple of weeks. Where did that come from?
I'll tell you this. I think he has matured as a person as well as a soccer player. I think his habits, his both on the field and off the field. And I'm not saying that he had bad habits before, but one of the things that we try to tell the guys coming in, straight out of college is this is a little bit of a different situation because the season's so long. You have to take care of yourself. You have to eat properly and things like that. And a lot of times when you've got that much time to I'm not going to say be off, but to be in a situation where you need to regenerate, you need to take care of yourself. Liam does it really, really well. And he's just like Evan. He's very open to my discussions with him. We talk all the time, always working on his technical side of things, he's really risen to the occasion. But I also want to really stress the rest of the players have identified him as one of our go-to guys, and the assists that he's getting from Leo and these other guys, really, really top notch, and he's very simple in his approach to it, and he's putting them in the back of the net, and it's we keep reminding him, and we've got to remind ourselves that as long as he's hot like this, we've got to keep feeding him. We got to keep giving the ball to him. So he's definitely a vital cog in our goal scoring machine. But he's done well. Love being around him. Love having him on the team.
All right, Coach, last one. We got about 60 seconds. We've talked, you and I, me and Doug, Chris, everybody, about the importance of this team being out, being involved in the community. Greenville Liberty opening a tap room at Greenville Spartanburg International Airport the other day. I got the chance to come out for the ribbon cutting and talk to you and Tyler and the boys that were there for it. Man, this is just one more way to illustrate how this team wants to be front-facing with the community, wants to be involved. They've given me a way to drink a beer before I get on an airplane, Coach. That's about as much as I can ask for out of a club.
Yeah, that tap room really was above the expectations that I had, to be quite honest with you. They've done a really good job with that place. And, the only thing that I think is a negative, and it's really not a negative, and that is you have to be through security to go sample it. So it's not a tap room that you can go to the airport and park your car, go have a beer, and then leave. You've got to go through security and stuff like that. But hey, it is what it is, and it's really a beautiful location, and they've done a really good job with it. You mentioned being involved with the community. This club really, we really want to make sure that we're in the community. We did a clinic last night here at Mesa. We had about 80 odd kids here. Really, really, it's exciting. It's hot, but we were out having a good time. The club really, really is embedded in this community, and we're looking forward to doing more and better things as we grow into the community more and more.
Coach, I will join arm in arm in you to convince Doug to open another tap room, but this time downtown so we can all be there. Rick Wright is the head coach of the Greenville Triumph. They are back home coming up this Saturday in a Jägermeister Cup match against Lexington. Coach, good luck this weekend. Man, go out there and get another 3.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Always a pleasure to be on your show. You take care.
Thank you, Coach. Rick Wright, head coach of the Greenville Triumph, kind enough to take a few minutes to chat some footy with us here on the show. When we come back, speaking of footy, U.S. men's national team getting set up against Panama tonight. Let's do a little bit more footy, and then we will get Rashad Beard of the Panther Nation podcast to wrap up this hour of the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. Rebound shot. All right, guys, give me 30 seconds. I'll be right back. Stay right there for me. Thank you. Steven, it's the right decision. We talked about this with Diana Taurasi on the women's Olympic basketball team. Are we trying to win gold medals? Or are we trying to create warm fuzzies? I love Alex Morgan as much as anybody. I literally, before Liberty games, buy a specific bottle of water because Alex Morgan is on the front of it, and I will support them supporting U.S. soccer. So I love Alex Morgan, but the reality is the team we are sending is full of strikers. So you are sending a couple of players in her stead that are Kruger's a defensive player, but you're sending a lot of utility players. You're sending a lot of players you can play anybody on the field. And I think that's good in the Olympics for young players because you can take advantage for that and then utilize the overage players on your roster to fill niches like defenders, like Kruger. So I think it's the right call because I think what it allows you to do is build a roster that has a ton of adaptability to whatever opponents are throwing at you. So while, yes, I would love to see Alex Morgan get another gold medal, you have to win the gold medal. And Alex Morgan, as much as I love her, and I am a huge fan, as much as I love Alex Morgan does not help us win a gold medal as much as the players, the overage players selected in her stead do. So I'm actually very okay with it.
New life, next break.
New life, next break. Got it.
Don't throw up, man. Don't spew.
I mean, if it was, it would have been her send-off. But again, Steven, much like Diana Taurasi, are we here for warm fuzzies or are we here for gold medals? Some people are here for warm fuzzies.
Warm fuzzies.
All right, let's jam two soccer subjects into one segment here. A very quick segment. We got Rashad Beard coming up in the next segment to talk Panther footy with us. So let's get to these two stories. First off, this is one that Steven asked in the live chat on the stream, which you can join at facebook.com/thefanupstate, twitter.com/thefanupstate, the Fan Upstate, or the Rob Brown Show on YouTube, or the Rob Brown Show on Twitch. Make sure you join the live stream, chat with us behind the scenes during breaks, and leave your comments. We'll read them on the air just like we do. The text line, let's go. Alex Morgan has been left off of the Olympic roster for this year. For those of you that are unaware how it works, the Olympic team must be comprised of U18 players along with a limited number of overaged players. U.S. Soccer taking 18 women to the Olympics coming up this year. There were no shocks. The roster was built pretty much exactly as we thought the roster was going to be built. However, Alex Morgan will not be on the Olympic roster this year. It is the first Olympics that she has missed since back in London of 2012. It is the first international tournament that Alex Morgan has been left off of the U.S. women's national team roster since back in 2008. The overage players that are going to be going in her stead are effectively Casey Kruger and Crystal Dunn. Casey Kruger, a true defensive back. Crystal Dunn, a utility player that you can plug anywhere into the 10 on the pitch and have her work as a phenomenal defensive back, midfielder, striker, winger, whatever you need. Alex Morgan's a striker. She is only a striker. And she is not only a striker, but she is a striker that is playing down a little bit right now. She is not playing up to the level that we are used to seeing out of Alex Morgan. And that's why she got left off of this roster. Steven said, what are your thoughts on her being left off of the Olympic roster? I thought this might be a send-off. It certainly was an opportunity to be a send-off for Alex Morgan. But, and I said the same thing about Diana Taurasi being added to the Olympic women's 5-on-5 basketball roster. Are we going to Paris for nice, warm, fuzzy, sentimental stories, or are we going to Paris to win gold medals? And call me heartless or whatever you want to call me, but we don't play sports for good stories. We hope that we get good stories out of sports, but we play sports to win, right? Like it is phenomenal, those videos that come out at the end of every football season when a coach surprises a former walk-on with a scholarship. That's one of the greatest things the internet provides us every year. But there's a reason that there's one of those per team, 2 of those max per team, right? It's because we don't go get guys to come play football for our school to create warm, fuzzy feelings. We bring guys in to win football games. That is at its core what sports is. And so my question is, are we sending the Stars and Stripes over to Paris so that Diana Taurasi can feel good about herself? Or are we sending people over to win gold medals? I love Alex Morgan. She is one of my in fact, Alex Morgan is one of 3 women I have ever owned a jersey for. I bought an Alex Morgan jersey after the 2016 Olympics. I bought an Alex Morgan jersey. She's one of 3 female athletes I've ever bought a jersey for. Caitlin Clark will be next. I love Alex Morgan. I adore Alex Morgan. As I said the other day, you want to talk about being hashtag influenced. Right now, I am drinking from the gas station a particular bottle of water because Alex Morgan is the photo athlete for it. That's why I went into a gas station and I went, oh, look at that, 13's on the cover. That's what I'm going with. I love Alex Morgan. But Alex Morgan is not up to snuff right now. Alex Morgan is not Alex Morgan right now. And it may be because she stepped away from the game to have her baby. It may be because she's just aged out of being an elite level athlete. There's any number of reasons this is the case. But Alex Morgan is not an international quality player for the U.S. right now going to the Paris Olympics. She's just not. The 2 players we mentioned, Dunning-Kruger, are both having better seasons, and number 1, this roster is striker heavy. Trinity Rodman is going. Jaden Shaw is going. Sophia Smith is going. Mallory Swanson is going. All of these players are right now playing high-level footy. Alex Morgan's not. She would be adding Crystal Dunn to the list because she's labeled as a striker here. Added to the list, Alex Morgan would be arguably the least impactful striker we are sending. But the rest of this roster is built up of utility players. Rose Lavelle is listed as a midfielder right now. She can play at all 3 levels of the field, right? Like, it is made of players that give Emma Hayes adaptability to play anywhere on the pitch, which means you can respond. If a team is going to build the shell, if they're going to park the bus, great. I'm going to take my best 3 out of the 9 out of the 10 strikers out there. I'm going to take my best 3, put them up front and press. But if there is a team that is trying to play the counter, good. I'm going to take whoever is running the best at the winger right now, put them on a winger on either side at the midfield and prevent those counters while I take maybe a slightly less talented striker and put them up front and try to get them some goals, right? Adaptability is key in an international tournament like the Olympics. And when you only have room for 2 overage players, like I said, I adore Alex Morgan. She is one of my favorite footy players of all time, but there's not room for her on this roster. There's not. Do I want her there? You're damn right I want her there. Do I want her as a part of this team? You're damn right I want her as a part of this team. But I am not sending a team to Paris to have warm, fuzzy feelings. I'm sending them to win a gold medal. Because what's better for soccer? Legit, right now, what's better for soccer? Alex Morgan goes over and we all celebrate Alex Morgan and we get some great photos of her doing whatever she's doing to mock the French. Right? Alex Morgan gets her send-off and we all celebrate her and we win bronze. Or you send the younger, better player in her stead, a player that is playing more high-level footy, and we go win gold. What's better for American soccer? A gold medal that we all celebrate, that we all go buy the jersey, that we all get the USA crest in gold on, or a couple of nice photo shoots of Alex Morgan in front of the Eiffel Tower? What's better for U.S. soccer? You know, I know, we all know. Go win the damn gold medal. And unfortunately, there are players. I love her, but there are players that can help you do that more effectively than Alex Morgan. Rashad Beard of the Panther Nation podcast talks Carolina Panther football with us next on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. All right, guys, one more live and we're back. Stay right there for me. Rashad Beard, what's up, big fella?
What's going on, guys?
How we doing, man?
Good, good.
Good to hear it. Bow, bow. Somebody explain to me why Prince Harry is getting an SB for courage, perseverance, and service. Why? Because he had the stones to not be Prince anymore and yet still be a multimillionaire living in Los Angeles? How brave.
I thought he's living in Canada.
Stunningly
Is he in
brave.
LA now?
Who cares?
I mean, not that I keep up with that or anything. I just
How brave of him to be a millionaire.
have you denounced your family and went somewhere else?
He didn't
just to-
denounce his family. He just said, I'm not Prince anymore, which, okay, I'll do that. I'm not a Prince. Nailed it. Hand me an SB.
It just sounds like the plot to a movie. I'm no longer the and then things happen and he suddenly has to be Prince again. And he has to put aside his problems with being Prince to rule the kingdom.
So it sounds like you need to go into screenwriting or something, man. You put that together really quick. That's impressive.
I am award winning, Rashad. Just want to point that out.
That's true. Very true. Maybe put some respect on it.
I don't know if he told you, but we're up for three South Carolina Broadcasters Association awards, including Best Morning Show in the state of
Best
South
morning
Carolina.
show personalities.
Yeah. So there's that.
Best overall show, which is even better.
Just send me a copy of my award so I can put it back here. You know what I mean?
Or I'm gonna fax you over the certificate.
Yeah, because that's all I get is a certificate.
Oh, that's it?
Yeah,
Come on, man. I gotta do better.
he gets a trophy. I get a sheet of paper. I got a bunch of those sheets of papers, but you know.
Why is that? Because it's the Rob Brown show?
I think because well, I don't want to be specific, but they only give out one award per show. Even shows that have like 6 or
They give
7
out one
people on it.
trophy.
Yeah, one trophy, and then
The answer, Rashad, is because we're supposed to bring them here and put them downstairs in the display case for the
Yep.
station, and I
Supposed to.
don't do that. I just take it straight home.
I do have a couple at home because
would
people
too.
didn't show up. People didn't show up, and I accepted the award, so I accepted and took it to my house because my name's on it.
Nothing wrong with that.
The Rob Brown Show back on your radio. It is the Fan Upstate, Rob Alonzo, and joining us now live on our stream, which you can find at facebook.com/thefanupstate, twitter.com/thefanupstate, the Fan Upstate on YouTube, the Rob Brown Show on YouTube, or the Rob Brown Show on Twitch. It's Rashad Beard, host of the Panther Nation podcast, a place I demand that you go to YouTube right now and get yourself subscribed to. They are live all the time. They have got good stuff up all the time, great analysis all the time. What up, Rashad?
What's going on, man? Just enjoying this off season. Good times. Appreciate you guys for having me on the show as usual. Award-winning show that is.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I have already promised I am going to fax Rashad Beard a copy of the certificate we will receive for at least silver medaling in best show of the state.
There's some whiteout around here. I'll just white out the little part and
That's it?
write your name in there, and just I will send it to you.
Rashad Beard.
But when we send it, it needs to be back there, like
Yeah.
in between
Yeah, I got
two
it.
of the helmets. Yeah,
I
back
got
there.
you. I got you. Of course.
Rashad Beard here on the Rob Brown Show with the Fan Upstate. I don't know if I don't know if if it was just me, if it was my algorithm, Rashad. I popped on the internet last night, getting ready for the show this morning. There was a lot of Panther talk going on the internet last night. There was some on Fox, ESPN, Yahoo Sports. Like everybody had a take. Here's what I'd like to do. I'm going to play you a 30-second clip. This is Nate Tice from Yahoo Sports. And I would like you to give just your knee-jerk reaction to his take and see if you felt the same way I felt about it. Here's Nate Tice.
I like Canales. I thought he did a really nice job with the Bucks last year, but it's like, is he McVay? We'll see, but I just think the personnel is just, we're still grasping at straws. Even the receivers they took, Mingo's more of a project-y type. Last year, Leggett is very explosive and everything, but he's considered raw too, and he was a late bloomer as well. And it's like, I don't know. You're not really helping him as much as I thought they would. I thought they could have gone for like a big, true, more steady guy, maybe not high end, but I think he needs more steadiness around him more than anything, just to help him out.
What's your gut reaction to that, Rashad Beard?
Yeah, I mean, I like what he's saying. I agree with some of what he's saying, but to talk about the Panthers and then not mention how we did improve the offensive line and how we are going to be a run-first offense, I think this is why you can't, when it comes to Panther talk, you really have to turn off the mainstream because they really don't pay us any attention anyway, unless it's David Tepper throwing a cup at somebody. That's how we make the news, right? So people don't really know the ins and outs of Panther football. They like the headlines, and I agree with, again, Canellis. I love Canellis. I do think, Mingo is a bit of a project. He's coming along. There was some news about him, saying he can run routes. He did an interview with Joe Person. And then, Xavier Leggett, we've said some of the same things, but it's not just about the receivers, right? It's about the offensive line. It's about the defense is improving, or I hope it's going to improve. But I think, again, I kind of agree with the sentiment of what he's trying to say, I guess.
Exactly what I said. Like to a T, exactly what I said. I said, I think it's unfair not to point out that you went out and got 2 successful veteran guards. And not only do those guards help the interior of the line, I think they can help Corbett out at center if he has some growing pains in that spot. I think they can help Icky come out of the slump and Moton kind of dial in a little bit. I despise the fact, I know he wanted to talk Mingo and Xavier Leggett there. Didn't bring up the fact that Deontay Johnson came down from Pittsburgh.
Right.
I think that's a big piece. I think Deontay Johnson could be a guy we're talking about in the offseason as one of the best acquisitions during the offseason for anybody. So I said exactly what you said. I think it's a fair take about the development of Bryce Young, but I also think he left out a lot of the things that Carolina did do to create that stability, and that's kind of where I had a problem with it.
Yeah, it's almost like he didn't watch any Panther football last year and didn't see Bryce Young getting destroyed, play in and play out, right? Every down he had to run for his life. And we fixed, in my opinion, on paper, the biggest issue, which is the interior of that offensive line. So with that fixed, I think we'll get a better look. Again, not saying Bryce is going to be the next Drew Brees by any means, but we'll get a better look at what Bryce truly is, and surrounded with better improved weapons like Deontay Johnson, who he did not bring up. So like you said, again, I think I agree exactly what you're saying, but that's just part of the course for being a Carolina Panther fan and listening to the mainstream media. That's why you need to tune in to guys like P&P and the Rob Brown Show, and we talk Panthers football. This is very important. I'm dead serious about that when it comes to Carolina Panthers.
There's your next promo right there. Rashad just did our promo for us. See, that's why he's getting a fax of the certificate right there. Let's talk about something else that popped up. I was looking through the other day. Yahoo Sports is doing their countdown of NFL power rankings leading up to the start of camp, and they just went ahead and threw Carolina in at number 32. No questions asked. They were like easily the worst team in the league, yada, yada, yada. Have they done enough this offseason, in your opinion, to still be labeled or no longer be labeled the worst team in the league? I'm for instance, I look at New England right now, and honestly, I feel comfortable saying I think Carolina's a better football team than the New England Patriots are right now.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think we're the worst team in the league, but it's easy. It's easy to say that, right? It's easy to throw the Panthers at the bottom. We didn't do anything last year. And again, according to the mainstream, we didn't do much this offseason. So, of course, folks are going to throw the Panthers at the bottom of the barrel. And I'm okay with that. And I think the Panthers should be okay with that. We've always been a team that's been overlooked. And that's just what it is. We've got to fight our way out of it. And I think we'll do that. And so it's good. It's good to catch people off guard. It's good to be nobody's checking for you. That way, when you get you're underrated, you can catch some people off guard. Hey, that's the worst team in the league. Then we don't have to worry about those guys. Then you come out and punch somebody in the mouth. So that's what I want to see. So I'm okay with being at the bottom of the barrel.
The beginning of that clip I played a second ago, Nate Tice, and it was cut from a longer clip where he basically said, in his opinion, the plan for Bryce Young is for Dave Canales to be the Sean McVay of this team, to do what Sean McVay came in. I don't know if you've ever watched any of the Sean McVay clips. Like, this dude is a certified mental patient. He's just brilliant, dude, but he's like weird, but he's a genius. And the more I thought about it, the more I think that's kind of a fair comparison, right? Like, it is about understanding an offense, teaching the offense, having these guys go out and perfectly execute an offense. The more I thought about that take, the more I don't hate it, Rashad Beard. And the more I hear out of Dave Canales, the more he does kind of put Sean McVay vibes out there. Sean McVay won a Super Bowl on a team that was real bad before he got there. I kind of dig it.
Yeah, I mean, I would hope. I mean, that's the kind of the goal, right? We want Canales to be the next Sean McVay. That's what everybody's looking for in the league right now. That young, hot coach. No, I don't mean hot by looks. Come on, guys. Let's put some brakes on that. But I think the young, hot, offensive minded, innovative style coach. I think that's what we're looking for. And I think that's what I initially wanted when we went out there last year and we're looking for a coach, offensive minded coach. Frank Reich was not the guy I was envisioning, right? I wanted the young Sean McVay type coach. And again, there are some quirks about Canales that kind of give you those vibes. Like you're saying, he's a real, anytime you see him in a press conference, he's X's and O's. I mean, he wants to spill all the beans. I mean, he wants to tell you everything about what the offense is going to do. He's really intelligent. And I'm hoping that that's the case. I'm hoping we can have our next Sean McVay, but only time will tell. And I think that's what a lot of people, especially when it comes to putting together power rankings and all that stuff, they're waiting to see. And so I can't blame them on that. And I'm hopeful we do have our next Sean McVay.
Let's be honest, though. They keep showing me pictures of Dave Canales. Well, he's a good-looking fella, Rashad. You got to be straight up, all right? Don't lie to the people. Right. He's a good-looking fella.
Fair enough.
Ain't nothing wrong with that. Dude looks like he could play wide receiver today, by the way.
Yeah. He's looks athletic. Looks like he still go.
Can it coach? We'll find out. Rashad Beard of the Panther Nation podcast joining us here on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. So then let me ask you, and I think you just kind of tread into this territory a second ago, but I'll give you the chance to open up that answer a little bit more. What is the key to Dave Canales opening up this offense? What is the thing or the couple of things that you think Canales must bring to the table and must have this team clicking on if Carolina is going to not enter next year still ranked 32 in the power rankings?
Yeah, one thing you hear Canales talk about a lot, and I think this needs to be like really followed up, right? He talks about being a run-first team and not abandoning the run. And he talked about how it's going to be kind of frustrating watching the Panthers at times because we're going to run the football so much. And there's nothing that's going to help Bryce Young more than a healthy run game. So I really want to see us establish the run and be able to run that football. Going back to Steve Wilks when he was the interim head coach and we were putting together some W's, we were a run-first team. So I want to see us get back to that, and then I want to see us be able to take the top off the defense when they're stacking the box and trying to stop the run. Hey, let's Deontay go beat somebody. Xavier Legette, go beat somebody. I want to see us be able to mix it up, right? And not be predictable. And not only that, and make some adjustments. We have to make adjustments, right? That's one thing we did not do last year and the year prior to that. We would get caught off guard. We would go into the third quarter trying to square peg, round hole some things, right? And then it wouldn't work. It wouldn't work, and we could not adjust. We have to be able to adjust as the game goes along. So that's what I want to see out of Canales, and I think he can do that. This guy seems like he knows the game very well, and it seems like his staff is well equipped to make those adjustments. So that's what I want to see out of Canales. Run first, be able to throw the football when necessary, protect Bryce Young, keep him upright, allow Bryce Young to make those decisions, and be that Bryce Young that he was, the version of Bryce Young that was in Alabama, because that's the guy we drafted. So that's what I want to see from Canales.
While it has been said a lot, and obviously at this point, I need my wide receivers, I need my coaches out there pumping Bryce Young up and making him sound like a leader, etc. There's been a lot of comments. Adam Thielen had one the other day. Dave Canales has said it, that this dude looks and sounds, Bryce Young, looks and sounds like a quarterback now. Like looks and sounds like he's got a lot more confidence, etc. I have been attributing that to the toxicity left on this program by Matt Rule. I think, lack of confidence put on this program by Frank Reich. I think that was damaging, just like Urban Meyer was to Trevor Lawrence down in Jacksonville. And the longer he is away from that point, the more Trevor Lawrence looks like a guy who can be the guy. I'm not shocked. There's no reason for Bryce Young to have a lack of confidence other than what happened because of the franchise, in my opinion. I'm not shocked to be hearing these comments about Bryce Young being more of a reliable leader, a coach on the field, a general on the field. And what I love is Canales has pointed out that while he's not going to be the most vocal guy, he is a leader. He is going to talk, and he's got the autonomy on the field to make the calls he needs to make. I love everything I've heard out of the last 3 weeks about Bryce Young with a helmet on.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I listen, I don't think there's any better, better way to get better than last year, right? Last year was probably one of the worst experience any rookie quarterback could ever have, right? Going back, and you mentioned it, Trevor Lawrence, same thing. Like, that was a terrible, terrible, terrible rookie year for Bryce Young, right? And so all he can do is learn from that, right? He has a lot to learn. And I think that's what you're seeing out of Bryce Young in this offense right now. And that's what Canellis, they all want to turn the page, right? Nobody wants to talk about last year, right? That's how bad it was. And so I think you've seen a lot of guys turning the page, and they want to be better. And I think we're going to be better. I think Canellis, again, he is that QB whisperer, and I think he's going to get the best out of Bryce Young. We've seen him do it with Geno. We've seen him do it with Baker Mayfield, who we have a example of how Baker was bad here and got better with the Tampa Bay Bucks, and it's 1-to-1. So we can see that same thing happen with Bryce Young here in the Carolina. So everything sounds good. Everything sounds great. And before we pop out and bust out the Kool-Aid, start sipping on the Kool-Aid, we got to see it. We got to see training camp. We got to see week 1. We got to see what's going on, and hopefully things will get better here in Carolina.
Rashad Beard hosts the Panther Nation podcast. Go find them on YouTube. Make sure you are subscribed. Make sure you got the little bell on because they go live all the time. What you guys got coming up this week? Anything good?
Nothing too much, man. Just tracking down training camp, talking about the renovations, all that good stuff. So it's a quiet off season, taking the week, taking the news as it comes.
What's in the cup this morning?
Oh, coffee, man. Just went on a run, so I got some coffee, bro.
It's early. I get
no
it.
No Panthers Kool-Aid yet. No
There it
processed
is.
blue Kool-Aid yet.
There it is.
Yeah, I was gonna say what color Kool-Aid do you got going on in
processed
there?
blue. Processed blue Kool-Aid, man.
All right.
Trust the process blue. Rashad Beard, host of the Panther Nation podcast on Twitter /X at Panther Nation PC. But again, most importantly, make sure you get subscribed to the YouTube channel. Appreciate you, big fella.
All right, guys. Have a good one. Thank you.
See you next week. As always, my guy, Rashad Beard, host of the Panther Nation podcast. I don't know. Has Rashad won an award yet? Rashad's got to have won an award by now, right? Like Best Panther Podcast. He's got to have something.
He's number 1 in our book.
It's good enough. Lonzo's the number 1 sports flasher. That's it. That's how I'm leaving it.
Sitting on the park bench, the Atlanta Hawks used the number 1 overall pick in last night's NBA draft on French power forward Zachariah Resséjean. Resséjean was the first of 4 French players taken in the first round and the second consecutive number 1 overall pick from the country. The selection is Atlanta's first ever number 1 overall pick. The Charlotte Hornets' first selection was French player Dijon Salon. A 6'9" stretch forward, Salon was known as a below-average shooter and ball handler, but is just 18 years old with a solid build and high intensity, especially defensively. If Rob wrote that, I mean, I don't know. I'm sure he's better than all that. We'll see. The afternoon show right here is 3 to 7 p.m. It's called Wire to Wire. You should tune in with Cole Bryce and Diesel. They get you up to date on the latest local and national sports news. Great guests, great debate, a lot of fun. And it's all, believe it or not, Wire to Wire. Jam Cam is back.
Jam Cam. France with more, yeah. France had like 3 of the top, 6?
The hub of basketball, France. Used to be like Croatia or someplace like that. Now it's France, man.
France, man.
Just remember the French name of my French teacher. The name she chose. Well, she didn't choose it. It was her name. It was Madame Noir, which now just sounds so weird.
Make you call her Madame?
Madame.
Madame.
Yes. But Noir, because her last name is Black, her American name was Black. Madame Noir. I never said a name because I always took a 0 when it was participation time. Not only did I take a 0, I didn't say I'll take a 0. I just held up the 0, which she would laugh her butt off about. I did really good on tests, though. So, I mean, you know.
You say brown in French. Brune. Oh, that's boring.
I was going to say Duque, but
Monsieur Brune.
Nice job, Brune. Thank you, Stephen. I always appreciate your support and whatever the opposite of support is. Your critiques. Yeah, that's it.
Critiques is good.
Let's go with critiques.
Oh, the Jim Bob Cooter promo.
One of my favorite moments ever on this fine program.
Oh, the Jim Bob Cooter segment is an all-timer. Just submit that every year.
It did help us win one year, whenever that was.
Was it in our reel that year?
Yeah, it was a while ago. We're not going to point out how long ago it was.
No, it was for an old award.
No. We're not going to point out how long ago it was, or someone will make me take it down.
Oh,
yes.
No, that's
You
definition.
say
of
no,
evergreen.
but
Definition of evergreen.
yeah.
Here we go. Final hour of the Rob Brown Show starts now. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It is.
Why are you adopting a loser saying? I mean,
the fan upstate.
I mean, that's Dak, right?
It is Dak.
Yeah.
Here we go.
What's he ever done?
I mean, it had a wonderful postseason, or regular. Sorry, never had a wonderful postseason. Had a wonderful regular season last year.
Okay. All right.
An AI version of Al Michaels will narrate daily Olympics highlights for Peacock this year, according to NBC Sports. The AI boom, writes NBC Sports. It is Mike Florio wrote this. He starts his paragraph on this. Do you believe in microchips? Yes! The AI boom has made its way to the most legendary voices in American TV history via Tom Clute of VanityFair.com. An AI version of Al Michaels will narrate daily highlights during the upcoming Olympics for what would be called, quote, your daily Olympic recap on Peacock. Michaels told Clute, quote, frankly, it was astonishing. It was amazing. And it was a little bit frightening. It was not only close, it was almost 2% off perfect. I'm thinking, whoa.
Man, Al Michaels has phoned it in for about a decade. So, I mean,
now he's computering it in.
Yeah, now he's doing it. Take it one step further. Watch this. I'm going to get paid without even doing anything.
Yeah. What a stellar setup. Rick Cordella, NBC Sports president, said Michaels was the, quote, perfect choice for the role, end quote. Cordella told Clute, Al deserves credit for leaning into this technology so enthusiastically. It's just another development in the ongoing proliferation of AI tech. It could, if the audiences will ever accept it for live events, render live broadcasters obsolete. Michaels, the play-by-play announcer, kind of, for Amazon's Thursday Night Football, told Clute, quote, I just sat there and thought, in the next life, I'm going to need a new profession, end quote.
You know, to that end, really quick, you know, you've always talked about your dream and what your dream job is. And you kind of make fun of me about my problems with AI. doesn't this bring you to my side? This may cost you a job in the future. Your dream may be gone because it will be replaced. That's your fault. I had to do it. Will be
sucks.
Yeah, there we go. It will be replaced by AI.
It sucks. You know, I don't love it. Let me tell you why I don't love it. I'm a big AI guy. I'm a big science dork. All right. I rock a Google Pixel because you iPhoners are in a cult, and I need you all to know it. Okay. The discrimination.
So the guy that picks a phone that less people take and then vehemently, I don't care if I'm saying it
You're
right.
not, so that's good.
Defends it to no end. I rock the Google Pixel.
I do. And I rock the Google
No,
Pixel.
no, you don't sound cultic at all.
No, I rock the Google Pixel.
I'm the cult over here, and you're not.
Because it's a genuinely good phone. And I know that. Because when they went ahead and revamped the Apple iOS the other day, they were all jacked up about all the new features. All features that have been on the Pixel since I've had one about 6 years ago. Okay? We are leaps and bounds ahead. And the difference is never once, not a once, have I kicked anybody out of a group text because their bubbles are blue and not green. I only want blue bubbles, which is the dumbest bleep anybody's ever said. And I'm the most entertaining guy on planet Earth. I have been kicked out of group text because you lunatics don't like a different color bubble in your chat.
All right, first of all, I'm calling falsehood shenanigans, whatever word you want to have, because the fact that you're in a group text and actually commenting, I really find that hard to believe, because that's real time texting from Rob Brown, and Rob Brown does not do that.
It's my sports gambling chat.
Okay, so that's it. That's the only one.
Start
the only one you
start
answer.
texting me about whether you're taking overs or unders, and I can help with that.
Yeah, I've only had one person come to me and say, "Well, why is your thing green or blue?" And I'm like, "Why does it matter?"
The point here is
go back and do your job.
You iPhone lunatics with your green and blue bubbles.
See, that's the thing, man. I don't ever go, "Hey, man, you got to get an iPhone." You know what? My phone is. I just got a brand new iPhone. You know what? I didn't want it, but I got it anyway, and I don't care. You know what it does? It answers texts because I answer them quickly and succinctly, and I can check the internet on it, and I can answer phone calls. I don't care. I don't care what color it is. As long as it works, it doesn't matter.
You understand that, and I say this with infinite
I
respect.
don't fly the flag of Apple like you do Google.
You're the outlier in most conversations. You live on a compound.
Yeah, but I don't. I also work in a communications building. No one's ever come up to me and go, "Hey, man, why are you using that phone? You should use this phone," other than Rob Brown.
First off, no, I have never preached the gospel of the Pixel to you.
Dude,
I will tell you.
No, you do it to the masses every chance you get.
I will tell you that the Pixel is better than the iPhone.
See?
But that is not the same.
You know what?
Fine.
I don't care. I don't care if your phone's better.
Okay. I'm not talking to you. This is not about you, Lonzo.
It's my story, dude.
It's not about you. The point here is I'm a science bro. Okay, in my sports, I love data and numbers and metrics and analytics. I'm a big analytics guy, like JJ Redick. All right, it's me and JJ.
I really don't give a
big analytics guys, big numbers guys. I am a big AI guy. One of the things on my phone right now is that Google Pixel has created an AI that you can text. You can text this AI. Her name is Gemini. I have an ongoing text thread with Gemini because you can just fire off questions. One of the things that I love is I can send her a website and be like, "Hey, summarize this website for me." And she'll just break it down to the most important points. It's fantastic. Here's what I'm going to say.
Sounds like cheating.
It's absolutely cheating.
Okay.
It's absolutely
All right,
cheating.
all right, as
And
long as
I
you-
am down for working smarter, not harder.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Down for it. So I'm a big AI guy. I use it. I will be straight up. I have been using it frequently. I love the AI. It makes a lot of my life easier. Okay. You can ask for advice on like, hey, what's the best? Hey, Gemini, what's the best time for me to post a new TikTok to get the most views? Because that's the thing I have to do now. That's part of my job now, right? And she'll come back and she'll go, well, if you're posting sports, it's between this time and this time. If you're posting news, it's this time to this time. If you're posting comedy, it's this time to this time, whatever. It's phenomenal, right? Here's what I'm going to say.
What time should I go to the bathroom? Hey, Gemini, what time should I eat my food? Gemini, when should I go to sleep? I can't think for myself
No,
anymore.
but-
Gemini, please save me.
But as ridiculous as your examples are, what I can ask her is, if my schedule is this, what's the best time for me to go to sleep to make sure I get a full set of circadian rhythms to sleep through, right?
Sounds like dependency. I'm just saying.
It's not dependency
I mean-
because I'm not afraid of knowing things.
Okay, all
I
right.
prefer to know things.
Hey, listen, sand tastes good, and being able to see while your head's in it is, I mean, you don't need to see.
Lonzo's irrational fear of artificial
It's
intelligence
not irrational.
is the exact same reason that I am not worried about this. I'm not. Because at the end of the day, while I think you can evaluate the best way to coach or play a sport based on data analysis, speaking of tech, I got a baseball tech story we'll get to here in just a minute as well. While I do think the best way to learn about sports, to analyze sports, to coach sports, to play sports, is to know the metrics, know the numbers, know the analytics, et cetera, et cetera. The one thing that I do not think an AI can, certainly scratch that, one thing I know an AI cannot do right now is feel sports, is get the emotion out of
Are
a
you
sport.
sure your Gemini is not sentient?
Yes, I am.
How are you sure?
Because you can ask her and she says I'm not.
Okay, yes, of course she's going to tell the truth.
She says I'm not. And I
the
trust.
fact that you say you could ask her makes it sound like you have asked her, which means somewhere in your brain you want to know if you're acknowledging that's a possibility.
Artificial intelligence is very simply high-level computational formulatics. That's it. That's all it is.
Says the
Okay?
person when, robots conquer. You can't hurt me. You're just a highly whatever that thing you said.
We're not there yet. We're not in iRobot
But you
yet.
said we're not there yet, which implies that we will be there someday.
No, it implies
That's what you just said.
It implies we could be there someday. There is a difference. All AI is right now is super fast Google. That's all. It's super fast Google. Okay.
The super fast Google that sounds like Al Michaels or Rob Brown in the future. I could just be in this room alone with my Rob Brown AI.
I don't disagree.
I bet he won't be as loud though.
Except for you cannot have, and I know this because again, I am
He's using that science tone.
cool and hip to the youth.
Okay.
All right. I am a Ute.
So your nerd tone sounds like a cool tone. I'm just
And
saying.
one of the things that I can tell you for a fact, because I have TikTok and I have Instagram Reels and YouTube Shorts and all this. All right. Because I am in touch with the next generation of society. And that's their platform. That's their thing. What I can tell you is that there are farms that crank out videos that utilize AI voiceover, right? And you all know the voice. It's that like, there's one that's like a high-pitched woman and it's like, looking at my new makeup tutorial, right? And you've heard the AI voice before. Here's the thing. This has been a thing for a very long time. It has been a thing for a very long time. And yet, after all this time, nobody has been able to make it. I'm interested to see what this Al Michael thing sounds like.
I'm waiting for you to paint yourself into a corner, just personally.
I'm not. If I gotta
between
change, I
you
gotta
and
change.
because there's this thing that I could remind you of that you get mad about all the time.
Yeah,
not
do you
gonna,
know why?
Not gonna
You
do
know
it
why?
on the
You're gonna
air.
make me say, no, I am gonna do it on the air. You've made me say it now. You're gonna get me in trouble by walking me into a corner I wasn't gonna walk into, but here we are because I got a point to prove. There are AI voices that I know for a fact, that you people hear. And I know for a fact that when you hear them, your ear pops up because you go, that's not right.
You don't know that.
That's not right.
No, only your ear does it. You don't know that their ear does it because you're not in everyone's ears.
No.
Not one ear, not two ears, not no ears.
But I talk to people all the time, and I'm not the only person that has pointed these things out. That's why I've said I have a problem with them. Okay? I'm not the only one. They have yet to come up with an AI voice that doesn't transport you immediately into the uncanny valley. We have not gone there yet. We have not come up with an AI voice that is so. I read one yet.
Thank you for naming the horror film that we're living now, The Uncanny Valley. I mean, it's a good title.
The Uncanny Valley is a mental phenomenon that is the unsettling feeling that you get when something is humanoid, human-like, but just not quite fully human, right?
I don't know. I've met a few people that gave me that feeling.
The Uncanny Valley is not only relegated to robots and AI.
You just labeled it as
people can be
robot.
weird.
Okay.
So I watched one yesterday that a dude made, and it was very well done, but he wrote a script and then had an AI Hayden Christensen basically read an open letter from.
Which you can't do without Hayden's permission, because if it sounds like him, he's due to get paid.
That's a big thing going on in court right now. Absolutely a huge thing going on in court right now. Are performers or owed royalties when someone uses their voice? Scarlett Johansson is in the midst of it right now. She made a movie a couple of years ago. If you haven't seen it, it's a remarkable movie called Her. It's a great movie. And in it, what's his name? Gladiator dude. Joaquin Phoenix. Joaquin Phoenix.
It's Joaquin.
Whatever his name is. Mr. Phoenix. Mr.
He's
Phoenix
an odd
plays.
fellow.
He is an odd fellow. And he plays an odd fellow in this movie. He plays a guy who in a not so distant future gets an artificial intelligence that has Scarlett Johansson's voice. And the premise of the movie is that he falls in love with this artificial intelligence. Why wouldn't it? These things are crafted to learn you and to react to you. So he falls in love, and obviously she doesn't, because she's not a person. She doesn't have emotion. It's a phenomenal movie. Well, somebody made another AI that is kind of the first step in that in real life. And they asked Scarlett Johansson to use her voice. She said no, and then they just did it anyway. There's a huge lawsuit going on. So obviously Al Michaels has approved this. I am interested in listening to run number one. And the reason why is I watched this video that I was telling you about a second ago, where a guy wrote a script, and it was Anakin Skywalker during his turn to Darth Vader. Like in that little period of time where he realized he wasn't Anakin anymore, but he wasn't really Darth Vader yet either. He was kind of trapped in the middle. And it was this like really emotional open letter to Obi-Wan Kenobi, right? Apologizing to him and saying, I know I've done a lot of evil. There's no coming back, but no harm that I've caused will ever hurt me as much as hurt. And it was just like, it genuinely was better than anything Disney's done with Star Wars so far. It was really well put together. And it had a Hayden Christensen AI voice read it in that voice where he's kind of between Anakin and Vader. And as I'm listening to it, I'm like, this is really good. But just every now and then there would be a spot where the robot would fall flat in delivering an otherwise really impactful emotional moment. And that's why I'm not worried about it, because when Bryce Young drops back in the pocket and he hits Xavier Legette for a 72-yard touchdown.
That'll be great, man.
A computer is programmed to, when X, use the excited voice, but the computer is not excited. It uses a programmed version of a voice that it understands as excitement. I don't think it can replicate a play-by-play guy that is in the heat of that moment, in the moment of that passion.
Yes!
When a guy breaks one open, to be able to have that inflection rise like a great play-by-play guy like myself can do. I'm not worried about it yet.
All right, science guys love to quote Jeff Goldblum from Jurassic Park. Why doesn't it apply here?
Because the quote is what? Life finds a way.
No, not that one.
Which one?
Because I can't remember the exact quote. You spend so much time figuring out how to do it and
no.
not figuring out.
You spent so much time trying to figure out if you could that you didn't ask if you should, which is fine.
Exactly.
That's fair.
Why doesn't it apply here?
Because the fears about AI are yours. Right? Like they're yours. You program just like you do in every computer. If your computer starts going haywire, what do? You turn the SOB off.
No, I call Chris.
Or you call somebody else to handle it. I don't know about you. My computer goes haywire at home. I just go over to this little silver button that I drop my pen on all the time.
Why'd you use a middle finger to do that?
Stop it, Sigmund Freud. I'm not worried about it. Al Michaels can lend his voice, but I'm going to tell you.
Is it young Al Michaels' voice or old?
I hope
Al
it's.
Michaels'
I hope all of them. I hope they just go through all the Al Michaelses. I promise you, you're going to listen to this for the first time on Peacock, and you're going to go, it's cool, but it's not Al.
I am not going to say it's cool.
You're going to go, that's
You were
cool.
talking to them, not me. But
That's
yeah.
cool, but it's not Al because there's not the emotion of sport that makes sports sport. I can't do that yet. Texture said that Scarlet Phoenix movie, man, it ain't all that, and the Acolyte still sucks. Dumbest Jedis ever. I haven't even watched the last 2 episodes. I'm going to keep it a buck with you. Back after this with Fight Club on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
Rob is a robot. The most famous first robot was Robbie Robot. Just saying.
Who's the best robot?
Data.
Data is a humanoid AI. Is he AI technically? Because he gained
when he turns on his emotion.
he gained emotional intelligence, which I don't. I think you're not AI anymore. I think you're just intelligent at that point, right? Oh, the conversations we had. This is why we win awards, people. Right here. Listen to philosophical quote. Everything in the movie Tron, but they go in the computer.
Except for whoever was, except for the 2 humans in it. Remember in the second Tron, the girl, this is Olivia Wilde, if I recall, comes out of the game and becomes human, I suppose.
And that movie is it's a genre science what? Science what? Fiction.
Yeah, without that you wouldn't have the phone you're holding. Without that you wouldn't have the TVs that we have. Science fiction brings out ideas and then science goes, "Hey, let me try and do that."
And then as Keegan loves to say, think science for it.
Well, and in the end, when they take over, it's all Rob's fault.
There have been a lot of things over the years that was going to force society to crash. And yet, all of them have made it better.
Well, 2 things that you're adding to is your cultic worship of your phone and your Mars attacks, nothing to see here attitude.
I love Mars.
We
Attacks.
come in
It's one of my
peace.
favorite movies ever.
We come in peace. We come in peace. Yeah, right, Stephen. That too.
Transformers.
Yeah, but all the Transformers have the spark of life. So I mean, you know. Welcome into the Fight Club, where if I were to fight Rob, I'd be fighting a robot. I mean, you guys have all you've heard it. You know what he really is now.
I am not a robot.
He is a robot, and he's finally starting to not hide it anymore. So there's that. You are a robot.
Your irrational fear of something that is not giving you a reason yet to fear it.
You know what fear does? It it can cause panic, but it can also cause preparedness. That's what it can do. So when the thing happens, hey, maybe the thing don't happen, and that's fine. But if the thing does happen,
let's be afraid of it instead.
No, if the thing do I look afraid? No. If something were to happen, though, after I say I told you so, and before I die, at least I have a smile, as we're both being impaled by some sort of artificial intelligence.
Lord,
Yes.
you have taken this to a dramatic conclusion.
You've seen most of the movies I've seen. All right. Let us get into the Fight Club. Let's start before we get to there actually is an AEW pay-per-view, and probably the best shot I have of getting Rob on the Nerf wall because it's Forbidden Door, and he has no idea, like me, who most of these guys are and how the company will play it, if you will. All right. But before we get there, Drew takes out CM Punk in Chicago.
That was so good.
It really was.
That was so good. Dude.
Monday Night Raw was one of the better Raws that they've had in a while. And they've been pretty good, but Monday was good. I know that happened on SmackDown, but Monday Night Raw was good. SmackDown was good. Everything's been really good lately.
It really has.
You kind of saw that coming, but not in the way that they did it with the door, the big door coming up, and there he is laying there, and then bringing him out in front of the Chicago crowd. And let's face it, as you've talked about many times, most villains are understandable.
Drew's right.
Yeah, he's
Drew
right.
McIntyre is
he's
right.
He's right.
By the way, him getting up and Pierce's face, and he's like, so let me get this right. I'm causing disturbances when your boy was allowed to put on a referee's jersey, run out there. Nobody stopped him. Nobody got, and I'm the one caught. Drew McIntyre is, I mean this, the most justified heel in years, man. I want you to know that as happy as I am, like, I am really glad that it seems like so far Punk seems to have gotten his together since he got back because he's out of opportunities. But right now, I am squarely team Drew McIntyre, which stinks because that's my fiance's favorite wrestler because he's hot, right? I still am team McIntyre because he is the most justified bad guy in years.
You also have your in after the marriage because you can make your hair look just like Drew McIntyre.
I'm going to. I'm not cutting it again until like 2029.
Okay, we'll see.
What's she gonna do?
Well,
say no?
Yeah,
I'm already married, sucker. You can't go nowhere.
She can catch you asleep.
You locked in, bro.
All right. First of all, the entire thing leading up to the Wyatt Six, the video that they played, having Nikki come out, the fact that Chad Gable was scared to death and got out of there as fast as he could, it being on VHS when Michael Cole answered it. By the way, I mean condolences to McAfee's father-in-law passed away. That's why.
Okay.
That's why he wasn't there Monday night. But that whole thing, and people don't seem to notice that when Michael Cole got the box, that the two security guards are like laying there on either side of him. No one ever mentions that. They're just laying there across the desk.
Yeah.
It being on VHS was excellent. What did you think about the interview?
It was interesting. It was interesting. I first off, they just threw the Bray stuff right there. Like you're trying to take over your brother's legacy. I thought Bo's promo about he thought it was his time to take over the wrestling world with his brother was genuinely like gut-wrenching. Even as a promo, I was all in.
Well, they were doing that together.
It was better than I expected. Here's where I've broken down in the 2 weeks since the debut of the Wyatt Six. The mass murder scene they did on Monday Night Raw -- 1.
Never thought anyone was dead.
It was mass murder. It was just homicides everywhere. It was a gunshot wound. Triple H called it a gunshot wound. All right. After having watched that, Joey B and I had this conversation. I was like, all right, man, I don't know. Like, you kind of went way B horror movie. And B horror movie can work if you do it a certain way, but I was just worried if they could or if they would, because it's very out there. But so was The Fiend, until The Fiend lost to Goldberg for no bleeping reason at all. And then it just kind of killed everything that character was.
So I don't believe they're wrestling as supernatural people. I think they threw out the Whataburger picture to show that they're real human people, that they're disturbed and they're going through a lot of stuff, that they've been invisible for so long that they found a way to make people notice them.
That would be fine, except Bray Wyatt, or excuse me, Bo was talking to Uncle Howdy. They were clearly two separate people on the same screen, right? That's the supernatural angle to it. If you wanted to do it one way.
By the way, you can put it that way or you can put it the crazy way. Because crazy people have conversations in their own mind all the time.
But they didn't.
So do I.
Usually what they do in that case is what? The camera flips back and forth. They do that thing where it's like they show one side over here and then they go to
Please stop.
And they go back and forth like that. That was actually really cool.
No, it's not. The sound of the bar is not.
The point here is there's ways to do that shows a character having an internal conversation. They didn't. They had both people on the screen at the same time. Now we know Bo is Uncle Howdy, so fine. But you've clearly leaned into that. So now there is still, as Keegan pointed out correctly, you can still play that kind of schizophrenic angle because that's what they did with Bray and The Fiend, right?
Which is what I was saying. Yeah.
And I think they can do that.
As long as the supernatural, the creepy stuff is used for fear and not used when they go out to the ring, because then they have to go, by the way, I had no problem with the magic angle. I think people who want it to be as real as possible, because I think they have a fear of having to deal with those people where it's not real. Yeah, we know it's not real. As Triple H himself said, it's a TV show. So they can do that kind of stuff.
Wait, you're literally talking to me, a wrestling fan, right? Yeah, and yet I am telling you,
I'm not a wrestling fan.
No. What I'm saying
is, a wrestling fan before you.
What
born,
I'm saying
Sonny.
is, if you don't like this, it's because you think this way. And I'm telling you, you're literally wrong about the other half of the conversation. No. It has nothing to do with that. What I have said is, I'm curious as to see how they play it out, because in night number 1, if you are leaning into the crazy angle and not the supernatural angle, and that's great, because that's kind of what I want. We also have to acknowledge that at some point, Bo Dallas stole a fog machine, because that's what you did. Then they did it again.
Wow.
Then they did it again.
You guys take all the fun out of it. You really do.
No, I think it is fine.
Where'd the fog come from? I don't know. That's not realistic.
Listen,
I mean, other people come out to. We've been live and watched people come out to fog.
Right, but it's never that, because that
Where
person
did the Undertaker's fog come from?
He's the Undertaker.
Yeah, did it come out of his butt?
No.
I mean, where did it come from?
Are you telling me Uncle Howdy's on the level of the Undertaker? Hell no. You're better than that. Of course you're not.
Trying to twist those things around.
I'm saying here,
he's trying to avoid doing the picks because he might end up on the wall. Go ahead. I mean, it's fine.
What I am trying to say is that they still haven't fully explained, and they shouldn't. It should be a slow burn, what this character is. But when you showed both of them having an active conversation with each other as two separate entities, it makes me feel like you're going the supernatural angle, and that hasn't worked since The Undertaker.
I am curious.
And so I'm worried about it.
I'm curious on the stream and on text line 71307. Do you care about the things that Rob is saying, or are you just going to be entertained and have a good time?
No,
because I'm going to be entertained and have a good time.
This concept of I will enjoy anything no matter what is how you end up with a bunch of Shorty G gimmicks.
That's absolutely what
Was Shorty G a good Chad Gable?
That was Vince McMahon.
That sucked.
The last I checked, he's
right.
not there.
But the point is, did you just sit back and go, I'm totally fine with this because I choose to be entertained?
I trust in Triple H. So that's just me.
Don't say it like H.
I will. I work with a guy who does that all the time. So
yeah, Oh, so you're conforming. I appreciate you saying that.
No, I'm just having fun with it. I don't know. Why are you coming at me, dude? I mean, it's the
Fight
phone.
Club.
It's the phone thing.
It's Fight Club.
You're still in
It's
the cult.
kind of the phone thing.
You're still in the cult.
It's kind
All
of the
right,
phone
let's
thing.
get to these matches real quick. Chris, by the way, it is Forbidden Door for AEW. Chris Statlander and Momo Watanabe versus Willow Nightingale and Tam Nakano. Who you got?
Oh, bad guys win. Give me Stat. Stat's bad guy.
She's a bad guy now.
I mean, she's a bad
is,
guy.
and she's a friend of the show.
I'm going friend of the show.
Okay, all right. Rob is going friend of the show there. So am I. Just because. Now, you know what? I changed my mind. I'm going Willow Nightingale.
Listen, Lonzo's making picks to win here.
Yeah,
he's not making picks for any reason than to beat me.
Hey, I don't know any more than you do about these wrestlers. So it's all right. The Elite, which is Okada and the Young Bucks, and Okada's favorite word, versus Hiroshi Tanahashi and the Acclaimed.
You go first on this one.
It's my segment.
I know it is. I already went first. I don't want to go first again.
Wow. Power play. I'm going to go with the Elite. See, you're worried now that I'm taking it serious and that you might possibly lose.
What do you mean I'm worried? You are taking it serious.
Am I wrong about this being the best shot?
No, this is your best shot.
Yeah, I know.
This is without a doubt your best shot. I am going to go with I'm going to go Young Bucks.
Which is what I did.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. The next match is for the Owen Hart Foundation Men's Tournament quarterfinal. Bryan Danielson versus Shingo Takagi.
BD. Give me Brian Danielson, the American Dragon.
I also am going to go with Bryan Danielson.
He
only has a few months left in his before he's gone.
If there is one guy that will do the job to an unknown New Japan guy, it is Bryan
But we
Danielson.
don't know if he's unknown. He's just unknown here. He might be like the biggest thing over there.
He might be, but it is still an AEW show.
All right, MJF versus Heichi Hiro.
Oh, MJF. They're not having him lose a match like that.
I also am going with MJF there, although after last night, I'm not so sure. All right, ladder match for the vacant AEW TNT Championship because, Edge broke his leg. I'm sorry, Adam Copeland. It is Takeshita versus Mark Briscoe. Some of the best promos lately is Mark Briscoe with Kyle O'Reilly and Kyle O'Reilly last night tried to do a Mark Briscoe promo. It was excellent. So anyway, Takeshita, Mark Briscoe, Jack Perry, Dante Martin, Orange Cassidy, and Zack Sabre Jr. And it is a ladder match for the TNT Championship.
All I want to say is this is going to be incredible. This is going to be so much fun.
It's so weird seeing a ladder match without Darby in it, though.
Yeah, I don't disagree. Screw it. Give me Orange Cassidy. That's my dude. I feel like this one is easily the most unpredictable on the card. Give me OC.
All right, I'm going to go with Jack Perry here because they want him to have a belt also. AEW TBS, they tried to hand it to him, and then they ended up making this a match.
I really don't like Jack Perry.
Me either, but I think he's going to win. AEW TBS Championship, Mercedes Moné versus the New Japan Women's Strong Women's Champion, Stephanie Vicari. All right. You're doing a thing with your hand. I guess that means Monet.
The CEO.
Okay. All right. I get it now.
Yeah.
It took me a second, but I'm there.
They're not having her lose her PPV debut.
I also am going with Monet. IWGP Heavyweight Champion John Moxley versus Tetsuya Naito, title versus title match.
You know what? I'm going to give this one to not John Moxley.
Yeah, me too. I think he loses it because that belt goes back and forth as far as being in America or in Japan. All right, AEW World Heavyweight Championship between Swerve Strickland and the AEW International Champion Will Ospreay. All right, Rob is going with Swerve Strickland.
I swerve when I drive. I swerve when I drive.
I am going with the
best wrestler on planet Earth.
I'm going with Will Ospreay. And here's why. I think MJF interferes after last night.
Oh.
And it backfires.
Okay.
I think they're moving MJF back towards being a heel. And
No,
I think
not yet.
I think it backfires. Oh, you didn't see
I haven't seen last night. But MJF's also the dude that is so good he can be an open heel and still get the love. So I think you let MJF be what he is right now. Let's be real. He's a tweener right now. He's a super over face who does heel stuff all the time, and the people eat it up. So he's in it. Honestly, Will Ospreay is the best wrestler on planet Earth. MJF is the best at everything else on planet Earth. Bruv.
All right, we're about to find out. This is our best chance. Here's the thing: some other people will also be picking, and they could do worse than Rob.
Goldberg.
They can do worse than Rob, and they probably will, and they have. That's what saved him. Is just not me and him picking, because I have beat you before, but somebody else has done so much worse.
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't. Middle of the pack, you're still not the loser in this game.
Bingo. There is only one loser, and it ain't me.
We'll see. You might come back on Tuesday to some wonderful news.
Keegan said, how do we know that wasn't just a representation of Bo's mind? Because it was on a VHS tape.
Yeah,
did Bo somehow put his own brainwaves on a vinyl? Is that how it works?
It was also it was in the Firefly Funhouse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Keegan said, I just want the mask to talk to him like Green Goblin. That actually would have been a super dope way to do it. Legitimately, that would have been a kick-ass way to do it and still get the same conversation.
Stop with your negativity.
Would have been incredible. James says, nice try, Robert. Robert. It all makes sense, man. We wrap up the show next on the Fan Upstate.
Rob is a robot. He's a robot.
My grandma says my name like Robert.
Does she?
Yeah.
Huh.
Robert.
Is that a Cajun accent?
Robert. Yes. It's very old.
Because when you're
Southern
saying
Cajun.
it sounds Jewish. so,
Robert.
yeah. Or Yiddish or something. All I know is I'm not going to overanalyze it. I'm just having fun with it, and I hope they don't fail. I think they've done a good job so far. We've seen so many things fizzle out during the McMahon era, which was like a lifetime. I just want them to, I don't know how they ended eventually, but I want them to reach some heights, not just for him, but also for Dexter Lumis. And for Joe, because I love Joe. I thought he's great on NXT. And for Nikki, for that matter. Seeing Nikki, live and in person in Spartanburg when she was with NXT, still, that was one of my favorite moments. Getting to see that, because she was just straight up psycho out there slapping herself and stuff. And it was like, wow. Dude, I mean, Keegan, name something that Gene Wilder wasn't good in. That's funny. Keep your fingers crossed, and if Rob should face that wall, I'm not opposed to bringing in some other people. I'm just saying. Keegan, if you don't have a Nerf gun, I'll let you know that you need to get one ready. Hey, where's Rob? Oh, no, he's not here. What should I do? I know. I'll just play Good Morning until he gets in here.
Good morning.
I'm back.
Good morning.
I'm here.
Good morning.
Stop. I'm here.
Good morning.
The Rob Brown Show's on your radio. It's the Fan Upstate. Howdy, everybody.
Wow, Steven. I don't even know what that is, but that's awesome. I've sent out an offer. There might be some people coming. I don't know. Legality might come into play.
I'm pretty sure no one's allowed in the building without corporate permission. Sorry, Steve.
Oh no, management
That's the
permission.
rules. You're not management.
I
I've
got
heard
you-
you say it
I
all
got-
the
I
time.
got
You're
you
not,
covered.
no. You say you're not
I got you.
management
No,
all the time.
I didn't say that. Someone else
All the
did, and
time.
I was being sarcastic about it.
Hey, there's a fight going on social media that I'm all in for.
Mother of all blasters. Yes.
Yes, it's. I'm not going on the wall. I don't know what you're worried about. It's not happening. It started with the Tulane Green Wave promoting their 2024 season tickets. Tulane put up a graphic inviting fans out to Yulman Stadium in New Orleans. And on it, it said cheapest.
Wait, that's where Tulane is? I
Yes,
didn't know. Okay.
it is. Cheapest beer in college football. Get your tickets now.
Is that about taste or is that about price?
That's about price.
Okay. All right.
100% about price. Well, within minutes, the Louisiana Raging Cajuns sent out a tweet. They quoted that one and they said, fixed it for you. See you in September. And they tweeted out actual cheapest beer in college football, promoting not just get your season tickets now, but the fact that they sell $2 Natty Lights during the game. Now, I will go ahead because I left my shame about the age of 34 and tell you that for $2, Rob Brown will drink a Natty Light. Okay? Rob Brown will drink a Natty Light.
Is that a bad thing? Is it frowned upon?
Natty Light is just it's just cheap beer. You know the old expression, you get what you pay for. $2 beer.
I've seen a lot of people drink either back in my day, either Miller or Heineken. So
Natty Light comes cheaper than that.
does it? Okay.
Yes.
All right. Is it cheaper than a 40-ounce Colt
I haven't
in a
had
brown paper bag?
I
saw
haven't
a
had-
bunch of guys drink that too when I was younger.
I
All right.
haven't had
Mostly they
a-
were relatives. Okay. And when I saw that, I kind of left because
Not me. I party with those relatives. I am that relative.
yeah, I was like 5 or 6. It's probably not a good idea.
Nah, I drink around my nephew all the time. He'll figure it out. Then BYU, Brigham Young University, the Mormons got involved by sending out their season ticket advertisement.
3 wives.
Nope.
Okay. All right.
Coldest chocolate milk in college football.
Yes. Yes. Way to go.
I have.
I mean, do you bring your thermometer?
I mean, like,
how do you prove it?
I appreciate that because no other team is serving cold chocolate milk at their
Oh, okay.
football
So
game.
it doesn't really have to be that cold because no one else is doing it. Okay, I got you.
Then Louisiana Tech got involved.
Uh-oh.
And sent out their tweet. All of these, by the way, they're all just playing off the same graphic and font to do it. It's spectacular. Louisiana Tech sent out their tweet that said their claim this year to get you to buy season tickets now is best live mascot in a remote-controlled car in college football with a picture of their dog, their bulldog mascot, riding around the field in his electronic Bugatti. And I do have to say, that one might be accurate. That one might be right.
All the other one, I mean, the chocolate milk is accurate till it's not.
Yeah, but I'm never going anywhere because of chocolate milk. You
You
tell me
don't-
that
you don't
there's
like chocolate milk.
No, I didn't say that. I said I'm not going
Rob
anywhere.
Brown, you heard it. Rob Brown does not like chocolate milk.
What is with you?
He
today?
hates chocolate milk.
What's your issue?
He is
today?
anti-chocolate milk.
Did
He
the-
would be on the picket line against chocolate milk if they had one.
Did AI Michaels get in your head that deep? Is that where we are? I'm never going anywhere
your defense of it really
because
bothered me,
of chocolate milk. All right. No one's ever said, Rob, do you want to come hang out? We have chocolate milk. And I've gone, yes, that sounds
All right,
amazing.
it really comes down to the phone thing.
$2 natty lights, I'm in.
You being cultic of what the phone thing, because you came at me.
No,
and then
that's a bad take too.
But let's see, again, nothing but bad takes today, apparently. And then he wonders why I'm coming at him. Okay, all these things are excellent. I love, it's basically a bidding war, right? So I think there's nothing wrong with that. Are any of these in the same markets though?
All three of those Louisiana schools are all within like 2 hours of each other.
Oh, okay.
Absolutely. They weren't the only ones. Mississippi State jumped on the trend and said best locally made cheese in college football, as the Bulldogs have their own brand of cheese that they sell on campus as part of their Mississippi Agricultural and Forestry Experimentation Station program.
Wow. Do they have like an acronym, or you got to say the
Yes,
whole thing?
MAFIS.
Okay.
The Hawaii Rainbow Warriors social team jumped on board, said they have the best Spam musubi in the sport. And this is true, don't know what that
I
is.
was gonna say, are you sure about that second word? Because I don't know.
No, MUSUBI. Apparently, it is sushi made with Spam.
Okay, I would eat that sushi because it's like eating Spam out of the can.
One that would get me on board. New Mexico football said, see you August 24th with their claim for hottest green chili in college football. I'm all in for that one as well. Hawaii tweeted out with their best Spam musubi in college football. They tweeted out, that. Don't think we'll be getting...
The robot's glitching.
Yes, no, I was reading the rest of the tweet.
My bad. I'm going to shut up now.
They said, we don't think we'll be getting any arguments here. I can confirm. I have never heard of Spam musubi. And while Rob Brown is down to try and eat almost anything, I don't know how I feel about Spam sushi.
Have you ever had Spam?
I have. I used to fry Spam.
Which is excellent, by the way. I'm completely shocked. This is a bonding moment.
Because your belief that I am a 1%er and don't know about poor people things is wrong.
Wow. You called all people who eat Spam poor.
No, I did not. I'm not.
We all heard it. Everybody heard it. Every one of us heard him do that.
And now, the Rob Brown Show presents Twitter.
All right, time for What the X.
New Mexico said they have the best stuffed cheese sticks in college football.
Wow.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, well.
Oh, no, sorry. They said in the world.
Stuff with what, though?
I don't know. I'm going to say cheese.
With cheese stick, it implies that it's stuff with, okay, all right. It's kind of redundant. All right, the first thing that's Xing is Rhea Ripley.
So hilariously, right now, the Madre is having new countertops installed in the house, and the young man that is doing them, wrestling fan, she has the show on. So he texted after Fight Club, what about Liv and Dom, which we did not get to
because I was concerned more.
This?
No, I was concerned more
about getting you on the Nerf
about getting you on the Nerf
gotcha.
Ball. Yeah.
So I have bought on to the theory, a theory that Lonzo proposed months ago and may be prophetic in his belief. I am now on board with the school of thought that Liv is working with Finn Balor, pulling strings behind the back of Damian Priest to break up the Judgment Day so that when Rhea comes back, she's on her own. The Judgment Day won't help her against Liv. And when Damian officially splits, because he said in his promo with Seth the other day, the Judgment Day needs Damian more than Damian needs them.
Yeah, and then there's a stipulation on the match.
Yes,
that
there
he
is.
has to leave the Judgment Day.
Which if he ends up split from the Judgment Day one way or the next, it opens the door for Finn Balor to go get back the title that he technically never lost and doesn't have to worry about Damian Priest having helped to do it. Liv Morgan and Finn Balor are geniuses.
All right, so Rhea Ripley, why is she Xing?
She's trending because she is wildly attractive. And did her and Buddy hitch?
Yes.
Did they get hitched?
Yes, they got married. There's pictures.
Buddy
I'm surprised
Murphy?
you haven't seen the pictures.
Buddy Murphy, you have earned yourself a Joe Hendry clap.
Wow. I believe in that. All right. The next thing that's Xing is Paige Van Zandt.
Paige Van Zandt is trending, I think, because she said the other day that fighting is now a hobby because she's making so much money on OnlyFans that it pays her more than fighting. But now I am being told, and I'm assuming through the hand motion there, that she is joining the slap fight championships.
She is. She absolutely is.
I don't understand these people.
I don't know why she would do that.
I don't
because
understand why anyone would do that.
She could be disfigured, and that might hurt her OnlyFans page.
Or it's going to turn on a bunch of weirdos.
I didn't think about that. Dude, you go places I do not go. All right, the next thing that's Xing.
That's why you're hanging with chicks all night long.
And what do you do when you're hanging with those chicks?
You're a winner, man. You're the real deal. You're picking up chicks. You take the L away. You put a W there, baby.
Put a W there, baby. All right, the next thing that's Xing is episode 5.
Of The Acolyte, which drops tonight.
Which dropped Tuesday.
I'm going to be honest. I watched the first 2. I got about 20 minutes into 3, and something else popped up on the TV that I'm like, I'm going to watch that instead, and I have not been back.
They've made it even worse. Although some of the fight scenes were good, but to quote a texter earlier, dumbest Jedis ever.
Yeah.
And that texter was absolutely correct.
Yeah, I
still
not only
gonna
have tuned
still
out.
gonna watch it all so they can talk about it and critique it, but it's pretty bad. The retcon continues.
Yeah, I'm at this point, I'm not considering it canon. I, at this point, don't care anymore. At this point, they have trod all over the Star Wars legacy. Listen, so that we're clear, you want to have more representation in Star Wars? I'm here for it. Although it has always been well represented, in my opinion. You want to have more representation? Great. You want to bring in more people of different walks of life and allow them to have a character to latch onto in Star Wars? I'm all good for that. Have a good Star Wars story. I don't care if you have gay characters and straight characters. I don't care if you have lesbian characters. I don't care what characters you have. I don't care how woke you get. If you tell me a great Star Wars story, then I'm in, no matter who the characters are. You're not telling me a good story. You're telling me a crap story.
I think everyone's going to die like on that dumb movie Rogue One. Also, the last thing that's Xing is Bronny James.
So you had to get one more shot in here before we get out of here.
Bronny James is Xing.
Bronny James is going to be drafted tonight. Rogue One was an incredible movie with a wonderful story of sacrifice for the greater good that ended with actual hope for there to be a new hope. A new hope that was only hope because of Rogue One.
I just want to end the show the way we started it.
Thanks for being here. Have a wonderful day. I will be in Florida tomorrow, but we will have a show tomorrow morning. I am off on Monday. Have a great rest of your day. For Lonzo, I'm Rob. This was the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. Later.
I really don't give a
Oh, man.
And that is why we're going to be the #1 morning show in the state of South Carolina, as well as the #1 sports show.
How am I a 1%er? It's my mom's countertops, not mine. What are you talking about? When I was in college in the late 80s, we used to have dime draws and $1 pitchers of Natty Light. Yeah, for sure. When I was in college, there was a bar that did nickel beer night. And I don't remember, it was like top of every hour, they would do 10 minutes where you could get effectively a Dixie cup of beer for a nickel. So for $20, you got a tray full of them. And so everybody would go there and just slam 20s on the bar. And it was Natty Light for sure.
Wait, you had money in college? Elitist.
Yeah, because I earned a scholarship by being a big smart boy.
That doesn't pay you.
No, but it allows me to keep the money that I worked at my job in college.
Which job was that?
I worked in an Abercrombie and Fitch.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did.
However, I didn't make money because I wasn't a salesperson. They had me in the back folding clothes.
Did you get a discount?
I did, but I didn't wear Abercrombie.
Really?
Yeah, I never used it. Genuinely. I would let people come in and point out things that they want, and then I would go back in later and I would buy them those things with my discount. But I didn't really wear Abercrombie. When I was in college.
You mean when girls would come in and go, I really want that? And
Yes.
you go, hey, girl.
Yes.
I can hook you up.
Yes.
You know.
Effectively. That's exactly what I mean.
Okay. All right. So you used it as a.
Yes.
Okay.
I sure did. That's it for us.
I'm not gonna say I respect it, but I understand it because
Mama didn't raise no fool.
By the way, guy doing the countertops, we're not really fighting, just in case.
I mean, we were for a minute.
Oh,
He insulted my phone.
oh, all right. He was serious. I was
I
not.
won't
I was
stand
not.
for it.
I was not serious.
I won't stand for it. Y'all have a great day. Thanks for being here again. We will be live tomorrow on the stream.
I
I'll
saw
be in
that too,
Florida. But as far as I know, the stream should work.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm not here tomorrow, it's because the stream didn't work.
It's because you didn't take that piece with you that you need to take with you. Do you?
No,
to
we didn't
plug
use it
into
last time and it worked.
No, you had to use that piece. You got to use that piece every time. And you were given one of those. Actually,
Well,
multiples.
Now I have one more thing to do. Goodbye.